Hey, what's up, everybody, and welcome back to Space Chick Crypto. My name is Elizabeth Howard, and this is my 5th live stream today, so bear with me. How is everybody doing? What's up, Twinsen? I have not seen you all day. Where are you at? What's up, Tim? How are you doing? Welcome to the late night spooky space cabin. That's what we call it here. Knock, knock. Yep. I'm here. Knock, knock. Who's there? Really, right? All right. So I'm going to be honest with y'all. I didn't have anything pulled up, but you know that I have so much material. I could go on for days, but we're only going to do this once a week. I want to let some people come in, have them file in. If you guys aren't following me on Twitter, go ahead and do so. What are you doing? Not following me. Right here. Here it is. You can follow me at spacechick_1111 right there on Twitter. And I also have a TikTok, which we're going to look at some creepy TikToks here in a little bit. But first, I wanted to go over, let me see here. I wanted to go over the scariest surgeon ever because I'm a nurse and I deal with a lot of patients. And I wanted to know, I see a lot of stuff in the medical field. So I was like, oh, might as well watch this one. Might as well see it. So we're actually going to see it together. Haven't seen it yet, but whenever I saw it, I put it in the playlist. I said, late night space cabin. Elite dangerous. Yeah, the elite are very dangerous. We were talking about that. We were talking about how the elite probably really pumped Luna. Like they choose one token a year to like really pump up. And I think Luna Classic was one. I think that's the one. David, what's up? Crypto Smith, thanks for coming in. Thanks for tuning into the space cabin. Oh, thank you. Thank you so much. I don't know. Have to give a lot of shots. All right, let's see what we got here. Thank you so much, y'all, for tuning in. See, I'm still getting some people in here. I don't want to start it without, the group in here because sometimes it takes a few minutes. Let me at least get this link and put it over here. All right. Last week we went over Mckamey Manor. Do y'all remember that one? Were y'all here with that? It was freaking crazy. You have to sign a 40-page waiver to get in this haunted house. It's a haunted house. It's really a torture chamber disguised as a haunted house is really what it is, in my opinion. And if you get through the whole haunted house, you get 20K, but no one's ever done it. Like no one's ever done it. Okay. I know my lighting's super bad. I gotta figure that out. But after this is my 5th live stream. All right. So you guys got to give me a little bit of a break. 10 night. I see Maddie's not in here yet. Maddie. All right. Let's see here. Let's get started. Y'all ready? You want to see the scariest surgeon on earth? Let's see what he has. Let's see what this guy has to say. I like this guy. It's Mr. Ballin. Go check him out. He has so many subscribers, 6.77 million subs. All right, let's check it out. Let's see what it is. Like, if the echo happens, y'all need to tell me. Because I have a feeling
of 4.
It was kind of happening earlier. So just let me know. All right, let me start it. And y'all tell me about the sound, how it is. Okay, I got to click back and forth. But y'all let me know.
In 2019, a family of 4 moved into a new house in a quiet suburb in Hawaii. They loved it until they discovered the dark secret their house held. This story is easily one of the spookiest true stories I have ever come across. But before we get into today's story, if you're a fan of the strange, dark, and mysterious delivered in story format, then you've come to the right place because that's all we do, and we upload once a week. So if that's of interest to you, when the like button calls your restaurant to place a very long and complicated order for delivery, let them finish in their entirety before telling them they are outside of your delivery range. Also, please subscribe to our channel and turn on all notifications so you don't miss any of our weekly uploads. Okay, let's get into today's story.
Shaman, what's up? What's up? Ooh, let's go. Take that red pill. Come on, y'all. What do we got this week?
In 2018,
Darius
James
Surgeon.
and Brittany Campbell jetted off to the very famous Little Vegas Chapel, which is located just off the Las Vegas, Nevada Strip, and they got married by a man dressed up as Elvis Presley while the couple stood in front of a pink Cadillac.
Wait.
While their wedding was certainly not traditional by Western standards, it somehow seemed fitting for the newlyweds.
That guy
After
looked
all,
like
they
Ducky
were not a
and
traditional
Pretty in
couple.
Pink.
Brittany, who was 36 years old, was extremely energetic and outgoing and bubbly, and she even referred to herself as being a little crazy. As for James, who was 35 years old, he was reserved and quiet and kind of analytical and would rarely act on impulse. And on top of these two just being complete and total polar opposites, they had actually dated previously back in high school, and it had not worked out. They had broken up and gone their separate ways, not expecting to see each other again. But nearly 2 decades later, they randomly reconnected, and this time they had something major in common. James was a single father of 2 young boys, and he was desperately looking for a partner to not only share his life with, but someone who would come in and help him raise his kids. As for Brittany, she too was single, and she really wanted to be a mother. And so the timing of their reunion was perfect. A year after the wedding, James, who was serving in the US Navy, was given orders to spend a couple of years working out of a naval base in Hawaii. So the family of 4, along with their little cat named Mr. Franklin, packed up all of their things and left the mainland of the United States, and they landed in Honolulu, which is the capital of Hawaii. The family would move into a modest 2-story home located just a couple of minutes drive away from the airport. The house was located at the end of a cul-de-sac in this very quiet and safe neighborhood that really didn't look like the type of neighborhood you would expect to see on a beautiful Hawaiian island. It really just kind of looked like typical American suburbs with all these cookie cutter 2-story houses right up next to each other on either side of the road.
Did y'all think that was in Hawaii at all? I did not. I did not think that was. It looked like it was the mainland.
Everyone's got a white picket fence. But for the Campbells, who had never lived in Hawaii before, and were used to living on mainland America, it was actually kind of nice to move into this neighborhood and have it look kind of familiar. And so before long, the Campbell family loved their new Hawaii house. That is, until they learned their house had a dark secret. It all started in June of 2019, so not long after the Campbells had moved to Hawaii. Brittany, she had to go into the garage to get something. Now, their garage was attached on the left side of their house if you were looking at their house from the street, and there was a door on the first floor of the house that led into the garage. And so Brittany, she walked across the first floor, she opened that door in the house, she went into the garage, she flipped on the light switch, and what she saw all over the garage made no sense to her. They still had a bunch of moving boxes that they had not unpacked since they'd only been in Hawaii for a matter of weeks. And so all these unopened boxes, they had just kind of stacked up inside of the garage. But when Brittany had turned the lights on and looked into the garage, she saw nearly all of those boxes had been toppled over, and lots of the contents inside of these boxes had spilled out onto the ground. But even more bizarrely, it looked like it wasn't totally haphazard. It looked like someone had intentionally kind of sifted through the boxes and taken out random objects and put them into strange piles that didn't make any sense. The objects were not alike, or they had taken the objects and kind of stood them up in these strange arrangements, almost like they were being laid out for a garage sale. And so Brittany immediately just turns around and she leaves the garage. She goes to the other side of the house and she gets her husband. She brings James back and he looks inside. He's just as shocked as she is. And the two of them immediately just go into the garage and begin looking through all of the stuff to see if anything is missing. Now, it was...
What would y'all do? That would freak me out. Somebody over here touching my stuff whenever I move. And then if I go in a basement, imagine that feeling though. Like, who came in here? You know what I'm saying? That's super freaky. And especially stuff laid out like that. Nope. It's not. At first I was thinking, well, maybe it was an animal that got in there somehow, some way. Nope. This stuff was laid out. All right. I'd be freaking out. I know y'all would. Would y'all be freaking out? Y'all wouldn't be happy.
It's pretty difficult to tell if something had been stolen, but they did have some valuable stuff that was in those boxes that had been pulled out and was lying on the ground, and that wasn't missing. And so that was a pretty good indication to James and Britney that this wasn't a robbery. And so the only other thing they could think of would be that their two young sons must have come in here and been goofing around and pulled the boxes over, and so this is their doing. But when the parents confronted the two young sons, they said they didn't do it. Britney believed them, but James didn't necessarily. He thought they could be lying about it, and if they were telling the truth, then, maybe one of their pets had gotten into the garage and caused all this chaos. They had purchased a dog when they got to Hawaii, so they had a cat and a dog. And so James was just being very dismissive of this whole garage incident and not taking seriously the fact that Britney was really spooked by this. But regardless of how the family members felt about the garage incident, they all just kind of moved on because there really wasn't anything to do except pick the garage up and continue on. About a week after the garage incident, Britney was home alone one morning getting ready. She was sitting in the master bedroom in front of her mirror, and she was applying eyeliner, and she had a YouTube video playing some makeup tutorials. And as she's applying the makeup, she suddenly hears the front door downstairs slam shut.
No.
She almost pokes her eye out with her eyeliner.
No. First of all, don't ever mess with a female when she's putting on her eyeliner. Don't ever do it. So if I heard the door slam too, I would almost poke my eyeball out. Any other girls in the chat feel the same way?
So startled by the sound of it, and she immediately pauses her YouTube video and she calls out for James and her sons, believing they must be home and somebody slammed the door. But when she calls out, she gets no response. Now, immediately, Britney is going through all of these different rationalizations like, okay, maybe James and the boys opened the door, they got something or put something in the house, they slammed it and they left. And so that's why they didn't hear me call her name. But she couldn't help but feel like something was wrong. She's also thinking about the garage incident, which really never left her. She pretended like she had moved on, but really she hadn't. And so she stands up and she begins walking towards the open door that led out into the hallway. And then from the master bedroom, if you were looking out into the second floor hallway, it basically went straight across to another door. That was her son's bedroom. And in between these two doors, basically halfway down the second floor hallway, to the left was a flight of stairs that went straight down to the first floor. And when you reached the bottom of those steps, right in front of you would be the front door, the door that had slammed. And so Britney reaches the threshold of...
Do y'all have an echo? Oh, God. Yeah, that would be awful. Do y'all have an echo? Oh, nah. I hope not. There's starting a small echo. Man. Okay, hold up. Let me turn it down a little bit. Maybe that's why. Let's try this. Y'all let me know.
The master bedroom. She's looking out into the second floor hallway. She doesn't see anyone. And so she yells out again for James and for her sons. But again, there's silence. So she takes a deep breath and she begins walking down the second floor hallway. And she makes it halfway. She turns left and she gets onto the stairs. And as she's walking down these steps, the house is eerily quiet. And she's got this growing sense of dread inside of her. And she's kind of quietly calling out for James and her sons.
No, last year we did. I mean, a couple weeks ago, this happened too. Damn, that sucks. It means y'all can't hear this story. I did it a couple weeks ago. How did I fix it the last time? Maybe I turned it down here. I'm sorry, y'all.
Be quiet.
I don't know.
There's a big war going on somewhere in the universe.
Let's see.
That always reflects.
She gets to the foot of the stairs. She kind of scans around her. She doesn't see anyone. And then she walks to the front door. She flings it open, hoping to see James's car in the driveway or just see some indication that her husband or her sons had been there or were there. But when she opened that door, James's car was not there. There was no sign of anybody in the area. It was just her.
I had issues with Crypto Granny earlier.
A couple of years working.
I had issues with Crypto Granny earlier. Oh, it was perfect. It's good. It's good now. Okay. Thank God. I had turned it down on YouTube. It was way up. Yeah, I turned it to the side. All right. Let's see, y'all. Y'all are hanging in there. I appreciate you. Hold on, let's see.
out of a naval base in Hawaii. So the family of 4, along with their little cat named Mr. Franklin, packed up all of their things and left the mainland of the United States, and they landed in Honolulu, which is the capital of Hawaii. The family would move into a modest 2-story home located just a couple of minutes drive away from the airport. The house was located at the end of a cul-de-sac in this very quiet and safe neighborhood that really didn't look like the type of neighborhood you would expect to see on a beautiful Hawaiian island. It really just kind of looked like typical American suburbs with all these cookie cutter 2-story houses right up next to each other on either side of the road.
We went over here.
She's looking out into the second floor hallway. She doesn't see anyone. And so she yells out again for James and for her sons. But again, there's silence. So she takes a deep breath and she begins walking down the second floor hallway. And she makes it halfway. She turns left and she gets onto the stairs. And as she's walking down these steps, the house is eerily quiet. And she's got this growing sense of dread inside of her. And she's kind of quietly calling out for James and her sons. But it's totally quiet. And she gets to the foot of the stairs. She kind of scans around her. She doesn't see anyone, and then she walks to the front door. She flings it open, expecting, hoping to see James's car in the driveway or just see some indication that her husband or her sons had been there or were there. But when she opened that door, James's car was not there. There was no sign of anybody in the area. It was just her. And so with her heart racing, she shut the door, she locked it, and then she walked all around the first floor, checking every window, checking every door, making sure everything was locked. She went upstairs. She did the same thing, checking every room, every closet. There was no one in the house with her.
I will say, as a female, this is very scary. This is what happened. I don't think men realize the panic that females go through with something like this. You know what I'm saying? I feel like this is a panic on a whole other level, or fear on a whole other level. Like, that is going to be the first thing you do. Definitely. Is go check everything. And where is my weapon? That's what I want to know. There's going to be a weapon in all these different places. Like, females, we got to worry about stuff like that. Guys, I don't think guys really have to really worry about this stuff.
Sure of it. And so she went back to her room thinking to herself, what do I make of that? How do I reconcile the fact that I clearly heard the front door slam, but no one's here? And so Britney would eventually leave the house and go about her day. And then that evening, she would come back home and her husband and her sons would be there. And at some point, she would bring up the slamming door to her husband to get a sense of, could that have been him? And he would tell her that no, he had not come by the house that day, so that could not have been him. But he assured his wife, don't worry, you probably just unlocked the door and a draft came through and slammed the door. You got nothing to worry about. But Britney would tell her husband that was just not possible, that she always shut and locked the door. So the idea that she had forgotten to lock it and had left it partially ajar enough to the point that a draft could slam it the way it did, it just didn't make any sense. But just like the garage incident, James was very dismissive and just told his wife, you're being super paranoid. You have nothing to worry about. It's just a door. Don't worry about it. But this really upset Britney, and she got mad at James. Before long, the two were just totally fighting about it. And by the time they actually laid their heads down on their pillows that night, they weren't even speaking. And so the couple that night, they fall asleep angrily. And then in the middle of the night, Britney wakes up suddenly. She doesn't know why she's woken up, but she's kind of looking around the room. It's totally silent, and she's trying to get her bearings. And as she's sitting there, she hears downstairs, not a slamming door, but the sound of a door opening and then shutting. Immediately, she is on heightened alert. And instead of doing anything, she just kind of leans forward and listens really intently to make sure she really heard what she thought she just heard. And as she's sitting there listening, she can hear again another door downstairs, a different door opening.
What the heck? Oh no.
At this point, she begins to panic.
Yeah.
She reaches over, she shakes James awake, and she tells him, I can hear someone opening and shutting doors downstairs.
Yeah, do something.
James was not remotely thrilled to be having this conversation. He was still mad at his wife for being so paranoid about the door earlier, and so to be woken up in the middle of the night to his wife freaking out about more doors being open and shut, he was just really upset. And so he sits up, he's totally annoyed, and he's not ready to really take seriously anything Britney is saying, and Britney's picking up on this. And so finally, she just says, James, did you lock the front door before you went to bed? So James is like, yes, I locked the front door. I'm telling you, you're hearing things. There's nothing going on in this house. But Britney was not convinced. And she says, you know what? You can think nothing's going on, but I'm going downstairs to make sure no one is in this house. And so
Golly.
Brittany would get out of her bed. She'd walk over to the open door that led into
Useless.
the hallway. And as soon as she looked out, she didn't see anything. She didn't hear anything. And so very slowly, she began walking down the second floor hallway until she reached the top of the stairs. And at that point, she turned and looked downstairs into the pitch black first floor. She was terrified, but she knew she had to go down there to make sure her family was safe. So down the stairs she went, and when she got to the bottom of the stairs, she saw right away the front door was unlocked. Brittany's thinking, why would my husband tell me he locked the door if it's not locked? And so then Brittany's thinking, okay, my sons must have gotten out of bed, and they must have unlocked the door. That's what I'm hearing. I'm hearing these doors opening and shutting because my sons are down here somewhere, and they're the ones causing all this noise. And so Brittany kind of felt relieved for a second because this seemed like what must be going on. But after locking the front door and then searching the whole first floor, she didn't find her sons. And then when she went upstairs again and went into her boys' room, she found both of them were fast asleep in their beds. And when she shook them awake, they showed no sign of having been awake recently. They were totally groggy and could not have been running around the house just minutes earlier.
That's a good
and so
check.
Now Brittany is terrified. She tucks her boys back in and she tells them, everything's fine. But then she hustles back over to the master bedroom with her husband and she tells James, the front door was unlocked and our sons were fast asleep. It couldn't have been them. But James continues to be very dismissive, telling his wife, you are totally overreacting, you're being paranoid, you're just hearing the sound of those doors because you're scared. There isn't any doors slamming in the house. And as he's saying this, their back sliding door downstairs that led to their backyard suddenly slammed open and then slammed shut. And as soon as this happened, James, who had been so dismissive and totally skeptical, he instantly changed. And he looked at his wife and he said, you stay right here.
Okay. That's crazy. Okay, next,
jumped out of his bed and he ran.
James is not a good name. I'm sorry. James happened last week. James, he didn't help out his wife. Last week, this James is not helping out his wife. This week, I don't know what's going on with all the Jameses in the world, but they're not helping their wives whatsoever.
And out of the bedroom. A few minutes later, he would come back into the master bedroom and he would tell his wife that, the back door, it was unlocked, but it was shut. I'm sure you just forgot to lock it. And the same draft that is opening and shutting doors, probably opened and shut the back door too. So we got nothing to worry about. The house is locked right now. Let's just get in bed and go to sleep. And at this, Brittany is incredulous. And she says to her husband, you gotta be kidding me. There is something weird happening in our house. Doors are opening and shutting. We have that thing with the garage. You can't act like nothing is happening. And this, in turn, turned into a big fight. And so before long, the parents weren't even talking about who opened and shut the doors downstairs. They were just fighting with each other. And then eventually, they were just so tired that they gave up and they both went to sleep. For the next few weeks, nothing happened inside of the house. Brittany, though, continued to obsess over who or what had been causing those doors to open and shut. And then also, what happened in the garage? What caused all that stuff to fall out and wind up in these strange arrangements? Meanwhile, James continued to be unbelievably dismissive and did not want to talk about the potential for something strange happening in their house. But something strange would happen to just James without Brittany around, and that would be the first time.
Good, I'm glad it happens to James. Come on, what happens to James? Let James freak out for a second.
Today's video is sponsored by NordVPN.
Oh, and speaking about today's video, my stream is sponsored by Deeper.network. It's a decentralized VPN, and you can check out my video on it. I actually put it up 2 days ago. And if you have any questions, you can join their Discord, and they're on Telegram, but mainly on Discord. So yeah, that's my sponsor for today's video. Now let's skip his. Let's see what's going on with James. Oh, James.
Hundreds of so-called deals out there for cheap dolphin signals.
Oh, man,
and so
that's
James, he gets up and he rushes over to another.
Yeah.
He was alone at his house. It's the middle of the day, and he decided he would just play the piano. And so he moved to his piano in the living room, which is on the first floor. He sat down and he began playing. And then after a little while, he started to feel like he was being watched. And it got to the point where it was so uncomfortable, he had to stop playing and actually look around and make sure he really was alone. And when he did that, he noticed out the window to his right, which led into the side yard, that there was clearly a figure standing in the window outside, looking at the farms down. But there was
I got goosebumps already.
Window, and so all he could see was this shadow figure standing at the window. And so James is immediately startled, and as soon as he reacted to this figure, the figure suddenly starts moving towards the back of the house. And so James, he gets up and he rushes over to another window that looked into the backyard, and he looks outside, and there's no one there. And then he goes back to the window he originally saw the figure in. He opens it up. There's no one there. And so James would ultimately tell himself that, okay, that must have just been some nosy neighbor that heard the music, they came over, and they noticed that maybe I saw them, and they ran off before I could see them.
How many excuses are these people going to make?
What he saw in the window really shook him up.
Yeah.
It would be the blanket incident that would finally push James to go from being dismissive and skeptical to admitting to his wife,
James,
we got a problem. It was not long after
I hope nobody's named James in here.
Figure outside of the window when he and his wife and his 2 kids decided they would head out to a movie theater to catch a movie. And so as they're getting ready to go, Britney would say that she wanted to bring along a particular blanket that the whole family loved to use when they were sitting on the couch.
All right, Britney.
She was going to bring that blanket with her to the movie theater to kind of cuddle up under for the movie.
It's nice.
So she would make her way.
Get away from your house.
And she would see the blanket.
Your haunted house.
Was not on the couch where it normally was.
Your
and
weird
so she would
house.
ask her husband and her sons if they had any idea where it was, and they would say, no, we haven't touched it. She would look all over the place, under the couch, in the living room. She went upstairs. She couldn't find it. And so finally, they just left without the blanket. But when they came back that evening, there on the couch, folded up neatly, was this blanket.
I'd be freaking
Had
out.
not been there when they left.
I got
So
goosebumps.
how did it get there?
No.
For the next few weeks,
All
the parents
pretty.
did their best to put on a brave face
No.
and tell their kids that everything was okay. But the parents and the kids were all terrified to be in that house. And that's because at night, the doors continued to open and shut. Their dog periodically would just start barking in the middle of the night for no apparent reason. And they would all get this awful sense that they were being watched all the time in their house.
are.
And so finally, by
Someone lives
September
above
of that
you.
year, the parents decided, we just have to get out of this house. We cannot be here. We need to take a break. And so they packed up their stuff and they flew to mainland America, where they stayed with some family for a week. On September 20th, they hopped back on a plane and they flew back to Honolulu. And as they're driving from the airport to their house, Britney and James were just kind of secretly hoping that, whatever weirdness was happening in their house would just magically stop.
Oh, okay. That was James's idea, guaranteed.
Onto their street and they could see their house. They knew that
James.
was not going to be the case, because as they began driving up their road, they could see James's very nice road bike was laying on their driveway. And so Britney, she turned to her husband, and even though she knew the answer, she said, James, were you riding your bike before we left? And James, who doesn't even look at his wife, just shakes his head. No, he wasn't. And so James drives all the way down the road. He turns into their driveway, which is lined up right with the front of the garage door. And after James parks the car, he hits the garage door opener button. And so as James is sitting in the driver's seat, Brittany's right next to him, the kids are in back. They're watching as this door is raising right in front of them. And as soon as they can see into the garage, they see everything in their garage has just been completely trashed. Things are not just dumped out, but things have been ripped apart and shredded as if a wild animal had been let loose inside of the garage. James immediately said to his wife,
out.
We've been robbed.
Goodbye.
And then he hopped out of the car.
How much do I owe
told
you?
his kids, you stay in the car, do not get out. And James, he went over to the side of the house and got a sledgehammer for protection and made his way to the front door. Meanwhile, Brittany would be on the
I don't
phone
trust
with
James.
911 to report
James
that
wouldn't
someone had
protect
broken into the
Britney.
house. A few minutes later, James was inside of his house and he saw the entirety of his house was just like the garage. It had been completely ripped to shreds.
No.
But amidst the chaos were those kind of strange piles of random objects, much like they had seen in that first garage incident where the things inside of the boxes had been stacked in kind of strange piles and arrangements. And so James is looking around around his first floor and he's seen stacks of coasters and books and electronics. But what really got James's attention was that on various surfaces, there were these medical vials of drugs or chemicals that were placed all over the place. And he knew that was not his family's. Someone had brought those vials into this house. James would make his way up the stairs to the second floor landing, and right away he could tell, the upstairs had all the hallmarks of being destroyed as much as the first floor. But when he went left and went into his boys' room, he saw that room was pristine. In fact, it had been cleaned. The boys' laundry was neatly folded on one side of the room.
What is going on?
Military precision and all of the
Were you there?
different things that were normally all over the floor were neatly put away in the places they should go.
This
So
is
James
freaky.
would turn around and leave his boys' room in absolute astonishment, and he would walk across the second floor hallway into the master bedroom.
Is there penicillin in there?
there
Any
An
antibiotics?
already terrible situation much, much worse.
Oh gosh, heck no. Does somebody not know that
Not more.
they don't live there
Just from this
anymore,
app on my
maybe?
phone. And I don't know if you can
I
see
don't
this, but
know.
Master bedroom was destroyed like the majority of the house and garage, except the top of their bed was not covered in junk. Instead, on their bed was this towel that had been neatly laid out, almost like a tablecloth. And laying on this towel, neatly spaced apart, kind of perfectly arranged, were a bunch of knives. And then next to the knives, still on the towel, was a laptop that the Campbell family owned, but they didn't use it. It did work, but it just kind of sat in the master bedroom. And this laptop was sitting on this towel, and it was open, but the screen had turned off.
Like for
And so by
instructions,
this point,
directions, how to do
upstairs,
surgery?
so Britney and James, they walk over in horror to this layout on their bed, and they click the keys on the keyboard of their laptop, and it illuminates the screen and shows whatever was being worked on last. And it's this long, long Word document that neither of them made. They scrolled to the top of this document, and the document was titled The Omnivore Trials, and then below that it said a rehabilitation for rat-like people. And then below that, the entire document was kind of like a diary. It was a whole bunch of observations about so-called specimens. And these specimens were very clearly the Campbell family. These observations made about the Campbell family were very intimate. In fact, the only way to garner these observations were if you were watching the Campbell family right up close, almost on an hourly
upstairs,
basis, for days, weeks,
in the
months
attic.
at a time.
How much
These
you want to bet?
observations ranged from what time the Campbell family liked to watch TV to what James and Britney talked about behind closed doors in their bedroom, including their struggle to have a child, something they were not talking about to their family. But in this document, the author of the Omnivore Trials would talk about how the creature, which was referencing Britney, needed to stop trying to have another baby and instead focus on the children she already had. Toward the end of this really lengthy document, the author of the Omnivore Trials came to a shocking conclusion that in order to rehabilitate these rat-like people, the Campbells, the author would have to perform several surgeries on the specimens. These surgeries were hand amputations and gender reassignment surgery.
What
After this conclusion,
is wrong with this
there was another
person?
note that detailed all the different surgeon tools the author would need to perform these surgeries,
No.
as well as a list of drugs and chemicals they would need in order to sedate these specimens before they performed these surgeries.
Who's
And
this
after James
person?
and Britney see this, they realized that those knives laying out on the towel were for them. Those were the knives that were going to be used for the surgeries. And all those weird vials, those medical vials they saw
For
all
you.
downstairs, those were likely the drugs that would be used to sedate them so they could go under the knife. 15 minutes before
Burn it down.
James and Britney went
I
into
agree.
the house and discovered the
Burn
knives, the medical files, and the laptop, James grabbed that sledgehammer and walked to the front door while his wife called 911. And so James, he gets to the front door, he puts his key into the lock, he unlocks it, and with the sledgehammer in one hand, he attempts to push the door open. But despite the door being unlocked, he can't open it. There's resistance behind the door. And so James kind of gets down and he presses as hard as he can into the door with his shoulder until finally it opens up just a crack and James can see into the house. And so James, as he's pressing the door barely open, he's staring into this crack, trying to make out what's going on inside of his house. And then suddenly a set of eyes meet his from behind the door.
Done.
Before James can do anything,
Done.
this man that is standing inside of his house says to James,
"This is not your house,"
and then proceeds to push the door shut on James. James, in an adrenaline-fueled fury, smashed the door open, grabbed this guy, and yanked him out of the house and threw him onto the front yard. And then James, with his sledgehammer, would stand in front of this guy between him and his kids and his wife, and he would say, "If you go anywhere, I'm going to have to attack you with this." But the intruder, this guy, whose name was Ezekiel Zayas, he was a 23-year-old young man, he would just stand on the Campbell's property, staring directly at James, unblinking. And then, a couple of minutes later, the police would show up, and Ezekiel would not put up any fight. He would be arrested, and he would be taken away.
He looks like kind of like a normal dude that you would see at the store.
And they would see the state it was in, and they would go upstairs, and they would discover the knives and the laptop. It would turn out months earlier, Ezekiel had apparently found a way to sneak in and out of the Campbell's property. And so around the time they had moved in, Ezekiel was living there as well. He was mostly living in the crawl space above the second floor bathroom. And then whenever he was able to, Ezekiel would climb down out of this crawl space and he would go and observe the Campbells.
Yes.
And this was not just at night. Based on some of the observations inside of Ezekiel's Omnivore Trials document, clearly he was watching the family in the middle of the day too. Also, based on these observations in this document, it was pretty clear that Ezekiel was getting ready to actually carry out these surgeries on the Campbell family. Meaning, the Campbells' decision to go on vacation when they did could very well have saved their lives. And if there was any question as to whether Ezekiel could have actually carried out that level of physical harm on another human being by carrying out
that dude's
surgeries,
insane.
well, after he was arrested for what he did to the Campbells, while he was in jail, he beat his cellmate to death, allegedly. Although a guard literally walked in and saw Ezekiel punching and kicking and beating this guy, and then he died. But technically the trial is not over, so it's allegedly. Ezekiel is currently in a state hospital, and they are trying to determine if he is fit to stand trial for what he did to the Campbells and for what he did to his cellmate. Even though it might be self-explanatory at this point in the video, it's worth pointing out that we have no idea what Ezekiel's motives were for
He's
why
crazy.
he did the things he did to the Campbell family,
He's
or what
he's
he was
nuts.
looking to achieve with the so-called Omnivore Trials. We also don't know why he allegedly killed his cellmate. As for the Campbells,
'Cause he's
this whole
nuts?
experience was so traumatic.
Oh,
that
James.
they did not stay
Look at
in
Britney.
the
She's
White House.
ticked.
They
She's like, he didn't go
moved, and
down
as of
there.
Today, their whereabouts
She's
are
mad at
unknown.
James.
So
Wow.
that's going to do it. If you got something out of
All right,
today's
y'all.
episode and you haven't done
That was a good first one, right? All right. That was a good one. We're going to go to the next one. Not to a storyteller, though. We want to see it ourselves, right? Let's see what we got. I don't want an echo, though, so I'm not going to move my mic whatsoever. Yeah, that's freaking crazy. Moving into a house, and then you go down to the first thing that happens. You go into the basement, and all your stuff is laid out. Kind of like a little garage. So he went through everything. Then he comes to, what I want to know is, where did he get those meds? That's what I want to know. Like, I guess it's not hard to get meds, but he's really demented. Like, dude, who did you know to get those meds? Like, you have to know somebody somewhere at a facility or somewhere to get those meds. Yeah, it was wild. All right, we're going to check another one. We're going to see another one here. Last week, were y'all here last week with the Mckamey haunted house? Were y'all here? I feel like I have new people in the house right now. James. Oh, James. All right, James does look like he would be scared to go check. Yeah, he does. Oh, yeah, he does. Check out. Oh, no, I can't. They blocked my space cabin last week, so it's good that you guys are watching it right now. Yes, I'm sure it will always haunt you. Oh, yeah. You need to do a story on this on your ghost stories, Steve Jones. I've been reading your comments. James doesn't look like he would be scared to go check. I wasn't. Oh, okay, y'all weren't here last week. Let's go. Y'all want to see some? All right, so check this out. There's this haunted house, right? Haunted house in Tennessee. It's a 40-page waiver, 40 pages. And some people go in there because they're not scared of anything. And I'm like, you're crazy because you're going into the Texas Chainsaw Massacre's house times 10. Because the people that work in there actually are ex-cons, but they're not ex-cons with just like some petty theft or, a joint. You know what I'm saying? They're in there for good reasons, and they've been in there for a while because I did some really good research. And not saying the internet's always right, but public records are always correct. So there's a lot of people that work in that house that were ex-cons. Well, they had to stop for a little bit with this haunted house because they had a lot of lawsuits. And there was a lot of, I don't want to say the word on YouTube, but assaults on women. Women are claiming that there were assaults on them. You signed your whole body away. They even can extract a tooth from you. They can break your bones. They can make you eat your own vomit. Like, this house is insane. So why would you go there? So let's check it out. Mckamey Manor. And you know what's weird? I've been thinking about this since I did that video. Yeah. Oh, Christina, round 2. Let's check. Oh, this girl. Y'all remember this girl? She was acting like she was almost dead last week. This is okay. Check out this channel. Look how long these videos are. I want y'all to see something. First of all, look at the guy on the top. He's smiling, looking all happy and everything. Like he's happy to be there. Hold on, let me take this. All right, let me see. So you got to understand that they're not going to put the craziest stuff on here. This is their YouTube channel. In order to get in, you have to just donate some dog food, and it's going to go for old greyhounds, which is weird. I'm still trying to figure out why he chose that, how to get in. But let's check out Christina. Because this is the guy who owns it. He's a psychopath. Look at how long these videos are. These are his trophies. 6 hours. 6 hours. What content creator do you know? What gamer do you know, or gamers do you know that put videos out there that long? I don't. I mean, I'm sure there's some gamers that do that. I'm so sure, like walkthroughs and stuff like that. But come on, why are you going to film this? This is definitely one of his prized possessions. He did say, whenever he was asked in an interview, has anybody ever died in Mckamey Manor? And he said, no, they haven't. Someone had a heart attack, though. That was pretty awesome. You can find it on YouTube. Yes, exactly. That's exactly what was going on. Grape. Yeah. 12 hours? Yeah, this 12 hours? Yeah, do any of y'all believe in UFOs? Well, last week, that's what happened. Christina was on there. She was, James and this woman weren't able to finish it. Like they lasted 15 minutes. So we watched that video, and Christina, I was like, look at that chick. She just looks like she got really messed up. Like, I thought she was done. Even the guy who owns the place was like, Christina, you need to stop. So y'all gotta go check this out. I don't really want to play it just because I did it last week. So I don't want to really, like cover the same material. What do y'all think? Would y'all like to continue on to something else? Video, ex-presidents, military video. All UFOs are created equal. All right, let's check this out. Let's look up chills. Y'all gonna, I have it recorded on my StreamYard. I'm gonna try to post it again. Now, what was weird about that space cabin last week was that, what was I looking up? What was weird about that last week was, if you click on the link, it shows that it was taken down because of Netflix, right? But if you remember, we only looked up one thing and it was for a few seconds. I got 2 emails that said it was this that you looked up on AI and it was this that you looked up on AI, because we looked up artwork that AIs make and then we looked up a music video that an AI made. And that's why I got tagged. So there was 3 different things that did not make sense to me. I don't know why they took it down, but I have it recorded. I'm going to try to drop that video again. Time traveler. Pizza delivery horror stories. Heck yeah. Oh man, I could tell you some scary nurse stories. I'll tell you that right now. I was in the Air Force working satellite command and control. I've seen things I can't explain and other stuff I won't explain. Exactly. So my brother-in-law is a pilot, right? I asked him, I said, hey, I said, Carrie, he's so straight-laced. He's just like, whatever. He doesn't believe in conspiracy theories and that. And I said, Carrie, have you ever seen anything in the air? Like, have you ever seen any UFOs or anything like that? He's an ex-Marine, by the way. And he said, yeah, I have. What did you see? Like, tell me what you saw. And he said that he's had people, or not people, he's had UFOs flying next to the plane, just following them. I said, well, why don't people say this? And he said that if a pilot says something, they get in trouble. Pretty much, they get blacklisted. All right, let's see here. Let's check out Chills. I love Chills. Go follow Chills. 6.04 million subscribers. 5 scary videos filmed by doorbell camera. Do you guys have doorbell cameras? I'm afraid what I would see. Filmed by dash cam. Oh my gosh, I can't even imagine. All right, let's see here. Let's check this one out. Let's switch gears for a second. Hold up. Tell me if there's an echo. I really hope there isn't.
After a long week of telling people how Liberty
Yeah, I had so many live streams.
So you only pay for what you need.
So many live streams today. Y'all gotta go check them out. I had fun. I was gone all week. I was also on the Crypto Smith. Go check out his channel. Go subscribe. Just a little bit ago.
Not expecting this today. But she doesn't realize yet how worse things are going to go from here. She has a 2-way dash cam so we can see both inside and outside the car. What appears at first to just be a small accident escalates. She exits her vehicle and stops the other car involved just as it's about to speed away. The car still won't stop, so she jumps on the hood.
What do you do in that
Reaching into
situation?
The car, the other driver finally stops.
What?
They argue over what just happened. It appears the other driver doesn't want to take the blame. She thinks they're about to swap information, but the other driver speeds off again.
She's like, I'm taking my bumper off to take off. What are you talking about?
The Uber driver is clearly furious, and she begins chasing
She's
down
like,
the
nope.
car.
Nay, with your pink, blinged out cell phone case. You go, girl. Go get her. If these people are crazy, you don't really... Look at that. Nope.
They swerve through
You gotta
traffic
leave it alone.
and the red lights.
Leave it
This
alone.
is getting serious.
I would leave it alone at that point. Would you leave it alone at that point? Oh, this chick is pissed. She's like, nope, it's happening. I'm getting you.
The driver pulls in front of the other car in an attempt to stop it,
This lady is not some
but the car quickly pulls out and
young
speeds off
chick
again.
either.
Another attempt to stop the vehicle is made, but the other driver just turns the other way. Finally, this driver is able to force the other car into a parking lot.
No. I'd be gone. No, look at them. They're obviously
This driver
on
stops them
something.
there.
What is this lady, a cop? Yeah, I want to know if you're crazy.
The
Following
other
this
driver
person.
seems just as furious, and this escalates into a scuffle.
She hit the wrong person.
This
That's
Uber
what
driver
happened.
takes the keys from the other driver.
Oh my god.
You give me my key. Give me my key.
And this escalates to further confrontation in the Uber.
Now you want to leave?
Where's my key, lady?
Oh goodness.
She just my car. She just ran into me. I'm the thing. She's just gonna hit me.
This is 5 scary video. It is pretty
Unclear
scary.
what happened next, but this video shows you never know how things can escalate in situations like this.
Yeah, for real. That's the scary
Number
part.
4.
For real. What is this?
A
Oh, is that a
school
vaulted
pulls
bus?
to the right on a highway in Norway, fitted with a dash cam. The car behind him also stops. As students pile out
Little
of the
chickadees
bus,
coming
they move
off.
behind it to cross the road. Then one makes a mad dash across the center line.
Yeah. Oh my god!
Thankfully, the dash cam driver laid on their horn,
Oh
no doubt saving the
God.
student's young life and the life of that semi-driver, as who would ever get over such a horrific event.
That child had a guardian angel. Thank God that truck
Number
driver
3.
was looking up.
This driver is heading down a narrow road in the woods when he spots another vehicle at the side of the road.
You know, truck
As he
drivers see a whole
approaches, it
lot.
becomes clear why. A large tree has fallen across the road.
Okay.
While the pair chat, they don't realize they're in grave danger. The large truck narrowly misses the driver.
Wow. We're seeing guardian angels hard at work tonight. That's what we're seeing.
The driver calls Dave over
Working
the radio.
overtime.
It's not clear if the truck missed the other car as well.
Gosh, that's scary. Living in the
Initially, he
city.
missed the woman. As the driver doesn't sound too distressed, he pulls further out of the way.
People are always dropping stuff on the highway. Wow. That lady didn't have a big old truck like him.
I don't know how this one ends.
Then why did you show us chills?
Number 2.
Oh my gosh, these people are
This man is run off the
insane.
road by a truck.
Get away from me! Don't
These little-
ever do that again. You're way too close. You're way too close. I was going behind. You're way too close.
You need to back
need
up,
to be
sir.
more than that.
Get back in your
Get
truck.
out, get out. Just drive away, man. Go ahead. No, I'm
No.
not going for you. You're pressure driving.
Yeah, get in there.
Get
You
out
go.
Police
Psycho.
show up just in time.
Get back in your... Thank you, cops.
You're insane, man.
Yeah.
I left your room to maneuver around me. You're way too close. I couldn't touch your car if I reached any further, man. I got it all on camera. Man.
Yeah, he saw he has a camera.
Nothing hurt you. You're the one who flipped me out first, man. I didn't want to try anything. I was just going around him and it started.
Thank goodness there's a cop.
The officer sees right through
And
the
he's
driver.
doing something. He's like, get over here.
Sunday morning ride, huh?
Apparently, the bicyclist had motioned for the truck driver to give him more space. After getting the driver's statement, the policeman asks,
I started recording this right after he came too close. I was biking down the street and he I saw him in my rearview mirror.
He's taking off. Is he letting him take off?
Trying to get away. When he passed me, he flipped me off, so I flipped him off. We just rolled to the side of the shit.
Was he supposed to let him go? I mean, I don't know the rules.
by this time, witnesses have gathered.
He didn't get any of this dude's information. What if he... A camera is the witness. Hello? We don't
Some
need
witnesses want to
witnesses.
talk to the police.
Oh my gosh.
He was running me off the road.
Yeah.
Thought you're supposed to help.
You have a big truck, so what?
You're a tough guy in your truck. You're a tough guy in your truck.
No worries. You have witness here. We look back.
Okay, well, there were witnesses. That's good. Where are you going? Okay, good. I was like, did he take off? Because that is so messed up.
The police report is written and witness statements are taken, and thankfully, things don't get more out of hand.
Okay, last one.
Number
Let's see.
1.
If you would have come, I think they might have, you could have stood up and been in.
It's a summer day in the Bay Area, and Eric and Brandy Gear are turning onto the freeway.
And so he sat right next to me, and
So true. What's up, Kim?
Traffic seems light for California standards, and for what's about to happen, that's certainly a good thing. They're on the westbound I-580 near the 164th Ave exit in unincorporated San Leandro. Suddenly, almost out of nowhere, a plane dips into view.
See? Okay. Hold on. I'm going to have to... Okay. Let me tell you something. These rich people... Let me tell you something. These rich people can get their flight, like their flying license, super easy. Like, it doesn't take much. You don't have to be a genius to get one. On the highway.
You can hear the panic in Eric and Brandy's voices, as this is certainly something you don't deal with every day. It's a single-engine Cessna 172 plane making an emergency landing.
Oh my goodness. Have to make an emergency landing.
The Gears told CBS News that it looked like the pilot waited for a gap in traffic.
Did y'all think he did a good job? I mean, obviously, he didn't wreck it. Yeah.
The pilot even tries to get the plane to the shoulder of the road.
It's like, let me just pull over. What?
Brandy quickly calls 911.
Everyone driving by is like, what am I seeing right now?
Amazingly, the pilot and his passenger are not hurt.
Everybody's like freaking out.
All cars managed to avoid the plane.
Look at that one trying to go underneath
The
it.
plane was not damaged,
It goes
and neither were
straight
any cars
underneath
on the
it, doesn't
freeway.
even try. That's funny. Who was that person?
CBS News reported that the pilot reported issues with the fuel pump and made the decision to make an emergency landing. Well, it's a miracle everyone was all right. This video goes to show you never know what can happen on the freeway. Even something can pop out of the sky.
Those cars were going super fast behind them too.
This
like extra fast.
Just in documented reality.
Yeah, this is a cool channel. Chills. I like watching Chills. So you guys wanted to see some ghost stuff, or did y'all want to see some UFO stuff? Let's check out some. Oh, Antarctica. Hold on, UFO and hold on, I got some Antarctica and aliens. When the weekend we looked up the largest cave in the world. It was closed for the longest time. The largest cave in the world. It has clouds in there. It has forest. It has rivers, everything like that. It was closed, and now all of a sudden it's open, and people are taking photos of these reptilian looking, like they look like reptilian people. Just crazy. All right, ancient aliens, crystal. Wait, no. Antarctica. I want to watch one on ancient aliens discovered under Antarctica is made of crystal. Made of crystal. Incredible recent discoveries in Antarctica. So do y'all think there's something in Antarctica? Because I do. I think there is. Like, how come we don't ever really hear about Antarctica? I know that there's bases down there. I know Germany's down there. We're down there. And pretty much what they told us whenever I did my research was they said, oh, no, everybody just stay away. There's nothing down here. It's all good. Nothing to see here. So everybody's just letting it go by. No one's talking about Antarctica, whenever the whole time it could be like this whole utopia we don't even know about. What this one aviator said that he flew over it, and he didn't describe it like ice. He said it was a beautiful forest. There's a beautiful river. He said it was just all lush and full of animals. That's not what I've been taught. Is that what you've been taught? Because that's not what I've been taught about Antarctica. Not at all. Yeah, they have a treaty there. The whole UN is in on it. Everybody, they all have a base there. Well, I watched this story about this guy who was in the military, U.S. military, mind you, and he was helping build the base there. Well, he said that they would switch people out all the time, so they didn't work on the same section twice. They didn't know where they were at really either. So they stayed there short periods of time, from what I understand. But they switched them off. They didn't really know what location they were at. I also there was a patient one time. He was on his deathbed, right? He was on his deathbed. He was in the military. Not saying this is huge, but this is something, I think. And he said that he was in the military. He would fix airplanes. And I live out here in Texas, and it's pretty flat lands out here. And he said, but there's a base in San Antonio. There's a base in Corpus too, but an Air Force base in San Antonio. And they called him and said, hey, come here. We got to go take you somewhere. We need you to fix an airplane. And the patient also said that when he got in the airplane, they didn't tell him where he was going. But what he does remember is that they flew into a hill. What do you mean a hill? You flew, you crashed? No, the hill opened up and the plane went inside, and he did his job. But he doesn't know where. I said, where? No idea. It's just things like that. I've always said I feel creeped out underground. I think there's things underground, if anything. I've heard of people finding out about stuff in the Great Lakes, around the Great Lakes, that they've seen UFOs go underwater. Yeah, no. Inner Earth theory. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, Fort Hood. That's right. The Fort Hood base is crazy. Here where I'm at, people don't pay attention. So you're over there. You see it. An ice wall like that of the flat Earth. Operation High Jump. Inner Earth theory. Yeah. That's cool. See? All right, let's watch this about Antarctica. Y'all want to find out? Let's find out together. Let's see this one. How long is this one, though? Remember, I don't like looking up super, super long ones. They have to be really good.
We're in their corner and on it because
they have to be very, very good. But Antarctica is one that is really interesting. And the guy, the aviator, he wrote a journal about what he went through, what he found. And they said he was crazy. I think they even took his license away, which I would totally see that.
Speed as it does around its axis. That's why we can only see one side of it. That means that 41% of its surface hasn't been explored yet. This fact surprises many people, as we're used to thinking that we know everything about all things in the world, while even our own planet remains a mystery to us. For example, Antarctica, which is no less mysterious to us than the lunar surface. Or how about the inexplicable ice domes? Or a giant face right in the midst of snow valleys? Or a crater the size of the state of Colorado? The land of eternal frost keeps its secrets carefully. But we're going to raise the secret curtain right now and tell you all about the
Let's see. What's up?
Antarctica, which will make blood run cold in your veins. What if we tell you that underneath the thick layer of ice and permafrost, mysterious
no.
live?
Done.
Improbable, but
I think I would die. I think I would just straight up die.
Yes, Antarctica is almost entirely covered with
if I saw a
glaciers,
reptilian or
there is
a gray
terrain and even some active volcanoes. house. Recently, the scientists discovered that the heat from one of the volcanoes has melted the glacier, but it wasn't due to a one-time eruption, rather a continuous heat radiation that has been occurring for so long that it led to formation of warm caves under the ice.
Okay.
These caves under the ice dome are located on the Erebus Mountain,
Where aliens live.
of Rosa. And it's not just a single big cave. We're talking about a whole labyrinth of corridors and rooms inside the cave.
Nope, I'm
They
good.
were created by the stream that rises up from the volcano. Scientists believe that there could be some form of life deep down in these caves. It can get heat from the volcano, water from the ice, and sunlight coming down through the glacier. After all, Antarctica is exposed to an intense solar radiation. Researchers have found these perfectly round areas just recently, so they haven't had a chance to study them just yet. But they assume that there might as well exist an ecosystem, a close but a diverse one. Do you remember those sci-fi movies about dinosaurs
Yes.
that survived hidden in ice?
Yes.
There could be something similar in this case. Experts have
Aliens?
already discovered DNA traces which they are not able to identify. This means that creatures unknown to biologists live under the Antarctica.
I'm surprised they let them say that.
What organisms do you think can dwell in this environment? However, living creatures hidden under the ice are not the strangest mystery of Antarctica. The thing is, this continent, because of its remoteness and cold, seems not just frozen in ice, but in time as well. Can anything interesting happen in a place with almost no life in it? As it turns out, it can. Moreover, sometimes Antarctica shows us something not only new and unexplainable, but frighteningly large as well. For example, the giant face, which was spotted on Google Earth on the satellite.
I mean, that sort of stuff that you can see that in anything. I don't believe that. You can look at tile and see that.
Statue that appeared from under the snow and ice.
Nah.
A mouth, nose, and a pair of eyes are clearly visible on this scary find.
That was
Those are
actually
ruins of a
really
civilization that
detailed,
once existed
though.
and that had contact with aliens. Or maybe it's just a trick of Mother Nature, and what we see is just a play
I
of
think it's a
snow,
trick of
wind,
Mother
and
Nature.
frost. Actually, the experts suppose that the gigantic face is really just a massive snow crust, which happens to look so bizarre.
It could happen.
But what you can argue is the appearance of huge holes in the ice the size of South Carolina
See?
or Colorado states. The mysterious hole was first discovered in 2016. It was discovered again in 2017. Initially, it had an area of 3,700 square miles, or 9,600 square kilometers. But gradually, it grew into a gigantic 30,000 square miles, or 78,000 square kilometers. The mysterious spot appeared in the ice-free part of the ocean, right in the middle of the icy desert. So why did this happen? For almost half a century, scientists could not explain the nature of these giant holes, called polynyas, from a Russian word that means an ice hole. It was only in 2019 that the scientists from the University of Washington gained the support of NASA in their study of the strange formations in ice using satellites. It turned out that due to the Earth's climate change, such giant holes in Antarctica will appear more and more often. The reason for this is that the cold waters of the ocean under the ice get mixed with the warm currents. The warm water then rises up and melts the ice with lightning speed. But simply, a hole the size of an American state appeared in 3, 2, 1, well, really quickly. Why does it happen so fast? The reason is the Mount Rise Plateau with a massive
Of course there's a reason.
real underwater Everest. This seamount is situated close to these holes, and its shape and topography enhance the flow of the warm water toward the surface. It creates not just a current, but something more like a powerful hose stream that washes away the cold ice. However, although glaciers stretch far beyond the Antarctic continent, we should remember that under the most part of the ice, there is land. Unlike the North Pole, the South Pole is not just a frozen ocean, but a continent under glaciers.
Yeah.
These glaciers weigh hundreds of thousands of tons. All this mass has been pressing the land down for millions of years. No wonder that the lowest land point on the planet was found here. The find was made by a team of researchers directed by scientists from the University of California, Irvine. They found a canyon that was particularly affected by the ice pressure. This place is located under the Denman Glacier in East Antarctica.
Oh, now they're coming out with
Its
stuff.
depth is stunning. 2.1
Look at
miles
those shoes
or
he has to wear.
3.4 kilometers below sea level.
Nope,
In comparison
I'm
to
good.
New York, which is situated on a group of islands off the ocean coast and therefore obviously in the lowland, is located at an altitude of 32 feet or 10 meters above sea level. Denver, which is considered to be one of the largest mountain cities in the United States, is located at an altitude of a mile or 1.6 kilometers above sea level. Given that the minimum thickness of the ocean crust varies between 3.1 to 4.3 miles or 5 to 7 kilometers, we can say that the glacier has pressed the mainland into the mantle of the planet almost halfway. Can you imagine the time it takes to push a whole valley so deep down? After all, Antarctica is the place where you can really learn a lot about the past of our planet. For example, everyone knows that about 65
I don't know, y'all.
years ago,
What do you
most
think?
dinosaurs became
Now they have all these facts
After
about
that, mammals and
Antarctica,
birds
right?
got free space for themselves, a chance for growth. But what species lived in that period? Who took the place of the dinosaurs after their disappearance? Who became the most dangerous and cunning predator after the extinction of Tyrannosauruses? Scientists exploring Antarctica have found out. You wouldn't believe this. It turns out that for hundreds of thousands
They don't
of
let
years,
them
the
explore
dominant predators in the southern
Antarctica.
hemisphere of the planet, the largest and most formidable carnivores, were the penguin. They were distant relatives of the contemporary penguins, and they were faster, more aggressive, and large. This ancient penguin was the height of a human and weighed about
I know.
265 pounds or 100.
What? I know what we're going to look up next. Have y'all ever heard of dazzled ships? Y'all are going to freak out
because the climate
if you
was
haven't
mild,
heard of
subtropical,
them.
and there was no real need to protect oneself from the cold. But
That weighs a
mussels,
lot.
their bodies were
265.
slightly different from those of contemporary birds. They had stronger legs and body proportions resembling those of an albatross. Actually, petrels and albatrosses are their closest relatives. The skeletons of these birds were found on the islands of the mainland of Antarctica. It turns out that they lived about 60 to 62 million years ago, so we can suppose that these birds lost their ability to fly and became waterfowl precisely because the dinosaurs freed a niche for them to hunt. And by the way, speaking of dinosaurs, it's the remains of the ancient lizard called Lephosaurus that confirmed the theory of supercontinents that existed tens and hundreds of millions of years ago. First of all, the remains of Lephosaurus were also found on other continents besides Antarctica.
Then they want to talk about dinosaurs.
Secondly, during an archaeological expedition in Antarctica, a skeleton of a cynodont reptile was found. Similar remains have also been found in South America and India. That's why the
We're talking about dinosaurs.
Volcanoes are not mountains.
They're talking about what? Look, check this out.
Holes
Let's
in the
skip
ground
this.
under the glaciers. Because of this, the ice caps of Antarctica melt 3 times faster.
My dad was in the military, right? My dad was in the Navy. And so when I know y'all have heard of the Mandela effect. If you're in here right now, you definitely have heard of it. So I asked my dad, I was like, Dad, what is up with this? You were in the Navy. Did you ever see these ships? They're called dazzled ships. And he was like, what are you talking about? My dad he's older too. He fought in Vietnam. And so he's definitely a good guy to ask. So when I showed him, he's a man of very few words. Man of very, very few words. And he's not into conspiracy theories. He never says anything, just like, all right, Elizabeth. So for him to kind of just like get up, give me the phone back and get up and walk away and go to the other room, like, he's like, why are they doing that? Why are they saying this? Why are they saying this about these ships? Check this out. I'm going to go get something to drink really quick. Some water really quick. I want you all to see this. So crazy. Do you remember ships looking like this in history books? Did you ever grow up learning about ships with polka dots and stuff?
Shocking events, but for the historical insight gained from learning about history. The more you study it, the more you see patterns and trends popping up throughout history. Strangely enough, when it comes to the Mandela effect, these kinds of patterns and trends tend to happen as well. Where there is smoke, there's usually fire. Once you find one Mandela effect on a topic or a subject, the more you dig, you're bound to find more. Well, that is exactly what happened this time. Years ago, I covered the fascinatingly unbelievable concept of dazzle ships, used in World War I and World War II. While most people think of Navy battleships as gray, these ships were actually covered in multicolored shapes and designs. For context, I'm going to play an older clip I made about dazzle ships from this video, link in the description. Then we're going to come back and build off of that video. So if this clip sounds familiar, that's why. Let's check it out.
Watch this. I can show you how to get the sweetest deals online when you shop from major retailers like Amazon and Target. You can drop prices automatically. I can show you how, but I can't do it for you. People are saving real money doing this, $160 million in the last year. Across thousands of different retailers, you'll immediately see this. See what I mean? You'll see better prices you had no idea existed. And you don't even need to ask. They just show up automatically. Download this free tool that'll give you access to the deals like the one I just showed you. Just click, click, done. That's it. Simple. It takes all of 10 seconds. No need to enter any personal information, no technical mumbo jumbo. It's that easy. What are you waiting for? It takes less than 30 seconds to start saving, and this is all 100% free.
Oh, okay, let's see what we got. Yeah, sorry about that.
Think back to when you learned about World War I and World War II. Visualize the massive warships that were utilized back then.
I'm gonna turn it up a little.
Ships. Were they covered in abstract designs, or was it solid colors like gray? What do you remember learning? In World War I, and to a lesser extent in World War II, to avoid ship destruction at the hands of German U-boats, ships were painted in dazzle camouflage. This is actually how history goes now, believe it or not. The hulls of dazzle ships were covered in stripes, swirls, colors, and abstract shapes, reminiscent of Pablo Picasso's work. The idea was that the overwhelming mix of colors and shapes
Pablo Picasso.
looking through a periscope, thus making it more difficult to gauge the size, speed, and direction of these dazzle ships. Despite other people,
Okay, do you think the military had like very fine art taste? Do you think that's why they put all these all this artwork on these ships, because they like Picasso? Can you imagine? Can you imagine? This is so stupid. Come on now. Do they really think we are? Oh wow.
people's memories,
They
including
must.
my own to the contrary, this was a common practice. It started in Britain, but eventually spread to the US. It turns out that dazzle ships were surprisingly effective. So much so that during World War II, dazzle camouflage was utilized again by the US and even used on the decks of ships to confuse enemy aircrafts. Does any of this sound right to you? Growing up on the East Coast and being a big history buff, I've even visited some of these ships. But amazingly, I've never seen one in full dazzle paint, let alone any mention of this throughout history. So all of my education, all of my personal studies, all the documentaries and movies and things that I've watched, nothing. What do you all think?
Nope.
Is this exactly as you learned it?
Nope.
Or is this something
Do you remember that in your history books, y'all? Type yes or no. Do you remember that? I don't.
Well of information, and before you know it, I was on the subject of D-Day, the June 6, 1944 Allied forces invasion of Normandy, France, to repel back the Nazi forces. Cited as the largest seaborne invasion in history, I'm sure the vast majority of you have heard about this before in history books or articles, documentaries, and movies like Saving Private Ryan. Everyone with an interest in D-Day history has seen this shot before. The soldiers huddled together on an LCVD landing craft, mere minutes before the bullets start flying and the craft door opens. But what's that to the left? Is that the tip of a dazzle ship? Yes. Yes, it is.
How did they change that photo? That famous photo.
D-Day dazzle ships. Even a bunch of the Normandy
What?
landing crafts and tank carriers are now dazzle ships as well. They are beautifully colored with isometric designs, shapes, and colors. Sure, why not? Everything else seems to change, so why would I think these wouldn't? And here's the interesting thing. If you look it up, you'll find the weird thing is that there are still tons of residue of certain ships and landing crafts that aren't dazzle designs. Some are still gray. But every time I check back on this strange Mandela effect, there seems to be more and more and more.
Mm-hmm.
It's almost like it's a Mandela effect in progress, like a slow transition from gray to all of them being dazzle ships. So 5 years from now, if they are all gray, remember, they weren't always. In fact, since I made this original video on October 30th, 2019, the amount of digital content available for dazzle ships has exploded. For example, the clip that I showed you from an earlier video, when I made that, I used nearly every single photo and painting I could find on dazzle ships. It was that rare. That kind of information was really hard to find. But now there are so many more photos and articles about this stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Historical Mandela effects are so bizarre because it feels like they randomly come into existence with very few details, websites, articles, and videos available about them, and then they slowly build up a huge repertoire of information.
I don't either.
Another big example of this phenomenon is the Black Tom explosion. The Black Tom explosion was the first
Oh yeah, check this one.
soil all the way back in 1916. It took place in New York Harbor and is now known as the largest artificial non-nuclear explosion in history. The explosion was so big, in fact, that it shattered all glass in a 25-mile radius, including all of Manhattan, and permanently damaged the Statue of Liberty. Damages with inflation are estimated around $500 million today. This seemingly forgotten event until just a few years ago apparently caused America to get into World War I, not just the sinking of the Lusitania. For all of the mind-blowing details, watch my New York Mandela Effects video, then look up this historical Mandela effect on your
Oh man, isn't it crazy?
Information has miraculously been added.
He's gonna show us a photo.
Unintended. There are so many new articles, documentaries, and somehow unseen black and white photos that simply didn't exist before, at least not on the internet. The black time explosion is my favorite Mandela effect of all time. So for new photos and details to continually appear 100 plus years later is utterly perplexing.
How do they do that?
Anyway, back to dazzle ships. Let's try to be logical here. Could just be that some of the landing crafts were gray and some were extremely colorful and vibrant for some reason or another, and everyone just didn't notice and we didn't talk about it. I mean, it's possible, right? You could also say, well, some ships belong to some countries and some belong to others.
That's what I was thinking.
Absolutely. No one is disputing that. What is being disputed is their existence entirely. But if that wasn't strange enough, that's not even the biggest Mandela effect regarding this day. People online started noticing something was off with photos of D-Day. Take a look at this photo and tell me if you see anything weird. What caused this off feeling for so many people? Perhaps you noticed it yourself. It's the dozens and dozens of balloons floating in the sky. Do you remember seeing these in photographs or documentaries, reading about them, learning about them,
No.
seeing an article on them? Well, if not, these are called barrage balloons. And on D-Day, the sky was covered in hundreds of them. These anchored balloons created a cluttered mess above the sky to prevent enemy plane attacks, because oftentimes there were bombs attached to these balloons. Historically speaking, this makes perfect sense. It's a great idea, but the rationale isn't the issue. It's that many people online don't ever remember seeing these before. That's where the Mandela effect comes in. When I was doing research for something else entirely, and I first came across these photos, it made me second guess myself for a minute. Like, maybe this is a photoshopped photo or something.
Makes you feel like you're going crazy when you watch all these Mandela.
Scratching their heads. So tell me, what do you think about all this? This specific photo right here is my absolute favorite because it's so nonsensical. I love it. And here's why. It doesn't seem real, but here it is. It's the perfect encapsulation of the term historical Mandela effect. So now if anyone ever says, what's a historical Mandela effect? You could just show them this photo or this video. Everyone let me know, do you remember learning about dazzle ships and barrage balloons storming the beaches of Normandy? How do you feel about all this? Are you on the side that says, duh, obviously those existed? Or are you on the side of, I've never seen this before in my life, what is going on? I'd love to hear all your comments below. Thank you all so much.
Y'all want to know we watched this, right? It's pretty freaky, right? But you want to know the scary part of it, like the real life scary part of it? I was talking to my mom about this the other day, and my nephew, 9-year-old nephew, says, oh, you mean dazzled ships? I said, what do you know about dazzled ships? He was like, yeah, the ships, like military ships. I said, you know about dazzled ships? I said, you know those aren't real, right? He's like, yeah, they are. I said, no, actually they're not. You go ask your grandfather. Go ask your grandfather, and he will tell you. Because that's wild. They didn't exist. I know there's no way. What were the names of the ships then? How come all the ships that have sunk? Have you guys seen any dazzled ships? I was thinking maybe they're foreign ships. You know what I mean? Like, okay, France did it or something. But then I saw some with polka dots on them. But they're Picasso type ships. Like, who came up with that Mandela effect? Who came up with that? How did that Mandela effect get 100-year-old photo? What did he say? It was like 100-year-old photo. Might as well be a dazzled ship in that photo. You know what I mean? How do they do this? But anyway, my dad was very upset. He was like, I don't know why that's not how it was. My dad was on many ships. Yeah, that's a good watch. All right. Have y'all ever wondered like what's under the water, under the ocean? I don't like going to the ocean. I just don't. Let's see. Weirdest thing on the ocean. On Google Earth, man, they cut out so much stuff. Like I screenshot something for y'all. Let me come over here. I screenshot something for y'all the other day. I'll put it up on my Twitter. Follow me at spacechick_1111 if you're not already. But it was Google Map, and what they did was they blurred out a house. And I was like, why would they blur out this random house? I forgot what I was doing. I forgot what it was for. Anyway, they blurred it out. And I looked it up. Why is Google blurring out stuff? Well, if something really bad happened in that building or that house, they'll blur it out. which is interesting. It's pretty weird. All right, so let's check it out. Y'all like the ocean? All right, strangest things found by deep divers. Would y'all ever go deep diving? Who are these people that go in lakes? And those people need to get paid a ton of money. That's all I know. The people that go scuba diving, if there's like a dead body in the river or something, and they're the ones who find it, good for you. Like, that real person needs to get paid. Somebody who does that, like, as a real job, not like an actor or an actress who acts like they're doing it in a movie, gets paid millions of dollars to do that. Like, no. Like, this is wild. I could not go underwater.
We're just catching up.
And look for this stuff. Man, y'all. Trapped in ice. Do y'all believe there's anything been trapped in ice? How do y'all feel about that? I haven't really thought about that too much. I don't know if any of that's real.
With humans always looking to find and explore every inch of our planet, we voyage countless miles of oceanic waters to explore its daunting depths and infinite horizons. 70% of the Earth's surface is below the ocean, with only less than 5% of the world's oceans currently explored. It's revealed some of the most incredible and stunning discoveries one can imagine. From treasure to hidden cities, there have been many weird, bizarre, and indeed fabulous things discovered at the bottom of the sea. Let's just take a look at 10 of the weirdest things found on the ocean's floor to date.
Okay.
Don't forget to smash the like button, subscribe, and click the notification bell for more amazing content.
Let's see what we got.
Begin. Number 10. A lost city.
Lost city.
Once a bustling metropolis, this long-lost Egyptian city flooded, sank, and was forgotten.
Oh my
archaeologists
goodness.
rediscovered it. According to science writer Laura Gegel, the lost city was first discovered off the coast of Alexandria, Egypt in 2000, and has been the subject of regular excavations ever since. For centuries, the city of Heracleion has been shrouded in myth and thought to be a legend. The city, visited by Paris and Helen of Troy, and mentioned by numerous ancient historians such as Diodorus and Herodotus, had been lost for nearly 1,200 years and more. Built around its grand temple, the city was crisscrossed with a network of canals, a kind of ancient Egyptian Venice, and its islands were home to small sanctuaries and homes. Once a grand city, today its history is largely obscured, and no one is quite sure how it ended up entirely underwater. Number 9. A giant eyeball.
Oh, see, I think that's a squid, though. Didn't we find out?
Seashells, tiny crawling creatures.
We're gonna look up some
and
ghost
shark
stuff
teeth
after
here and
this.
there. But in October 2012, a man strolling along Pompano Beach came across something out of the ordinary.
That's a
humongous
squid.
Disembodied eyeball. Word that a giant eyeball washed up on a South Florida beach had created a lot of buzz on the internet, with people wondering which sea monster is now swimming around with an eye patch. Turns out it's just an eyeball from an average-sized swordfish. Florida wildlife authorities explained that swordfish are extremely common off the coast.
That was
of
a
South
swordfish
Florida.
eyeball?
The eyeball was probably taken out by a fisherman who threw it out into the water and it washed up on the beach. It's not some sort of sea monster or anything like that. Though the official explanation ended in much speculation about the mysterious eyeball, it still is a weird discovery and has left many people flabbergasted. After all, it's not every day one walks along the beach in Florida and discovers a giant lone eyeball washing up on shore. Anyhow, for being justifiably weird, gross, and mysterious all at the same time, the story earned the title of National Geographic's Weirdest Story of 2012.
That was the weirdest story.
An undersea river. An undersea river? Yes, you heard it right.
That's weird.
But how can a river flow under the ocean?
Yeah.
You might be wondering. Well, scuba divers located a secret underwater river called Cenote Angelita in the Yucatan Peninsula.
It's a current,
in
right?
Mexico. The river is actually formed due to a thick layer of hydrogen.
Look at him
sulfide
going in
to the
that
point where
dust.
freshwater and salt
Nope,
water came
that
to be
sand.
trapped in the cave
Dust.
because of a sinkhole, which was caused by a limestone collapse. And it would kill you if you tried to breathe it in. Cenote Angelita, or Little Angel, appears perfectly normal from the surface. But if you dive down about 30 meters, you'll begin to see what looks like a strange wispy bottom appearing below with a few ghostly bare-limbed tree trunks and branches sticking out. As you get closer, you begin to feel the effects of narcosis at the same time as
You're totally vulnerable underwater. Look at them. They dove into a whole other world. They're in somebody else's world right now. You cannot Like, defend yourself in
Expanse
there.
of wispy fog below. At the top of the cloud, you
dark.
stop and look around. Everything appears surreal, and a spooky feeling takes over, amplified by the effect of the nitrogen in your brain. That's how Maya Diving describes this hauntingly beautiful natural view, offering scuba diving trips to Angelita.
That's
Well,
gross.
have you packed your equipment yet?
No.
Number 7. Giant Oarfish. Undoubtedly, the giant oarfish's physical credits are what make it the most weird inhabitant of deep waters. Oarfish can grow longer than a school bus and have shiny silver skin,
Okay.
with long red oar-like pelvic fins and a long red dorsal fin that rises as a mane-like crest on the top of its head.
All right.
Those fortunate enough to have seen them at the sea surface often mistook it for a sea serpent. Their unique appearance has made them so mysterious that Japan even includes the creature in its folklore. Traditionally known as Ryugu no Tsukai in Japanese, or the messenger from the sea god's palace, oarfish are long regarded as omens of natural disasters. Sighting an oarfish washed ashore in Japan is thought to be a bad sign, as it's commonly believed that the oarfish is a harbinger of earthquakes and tsunamis. The myth became more popular.
It's a bad sign.
An oarfish washed ashore on Japan's beaches the year before the 2011 Fukushima nuclear power plant disaster. The scientists dispute such claims. They believe that global warming or subtle changes in the Earth's crust could cause the current to stir and push creatures at the bottom to the surface. Number 6.
Dang. What was this? What did you say over here? You said there are some huge stairs the size of skyscrapers just off the coast of Japan. Staircase. Staircase skyscrapers off Japan. Staircase off coast of Japan. Oh, I guess it's all over. Africa, Belize, Florida, Maine, California. Whoa. I'll see all those pop up. Just saying. Oh, okay, these staircases that they're finding in the woods and stuff. Yeah, there are. I would totally have a heart attack. Same. Totally same. Oh, looking up stuff underwater, it freaks me out. Okay. Ghost. Poltergeist. Oh, let me see here. Watch that one. Which one? This one that we're looking at? The stairs that lead to nowhere? Okay. The stairs that lead to nowhere. That's so weird. All right, let's check it out. How long are you? 7 minutes. They have some in Austin. I've seen them. I pulled over and I stood at the very top of them. It's like, what is this?
Going on where people are finding like random abandoned stairs in the woods. I think it's going over social media. Actually, I think I'm kind of linked to it. I think people have kind of already seen this and now it's over with. But I never got into it or never got the chance to look into it. So I want to see what the heck it is with all these.
What's up?
In the woods. What's going on? Stairs in the woods. Okay, look, isolated staircases are being found in national forests specifically, and nobody knows why. Yeah, recently the internet has been abuzz with reports of isolated staircases, and this was like a year ago. So I'm like a year late to the party. Typical. Yeah, so I'll look for a couple photos, but people are just finding.
Oh, they're high staircases.
No other structure attached to them. It's in a weird spot. It's just a staircase. It doesn't really make sense. Some of them are brick, some are wood, some look to be in ruins, and others are perfectly stable. So weird. Okay, so here's some images. This looks like it's just.
That's what it looks like in Austin. One like that.
Totally gone. This one looks fake. That's gotta not be real. That is super weird.
That's
Look
weird.
At this one, totally in the middle of nowhere with nothing. And like modern looking too. Kind of a cool staircase. Yeah, look at these. Just in the middle of nowhere attached to nothing. So look, maybe
Just plant your flowers around it.
We're gonna find the explanation. Okay, so this started on Reddit.
I mean, it's an artist.
Still kind of not fully up to date on Reddit. I'm kind of one of those people that don't totally get it, but I wish I did. But here's this Reddit thread? Is that the right word? I'm a search and rescue officer for the U.S. Forest Service. I have some stories to tell, part 5. It's got all of the parts here. So, okay, so these are just Redditors. They're just people saying this, so we don't have any real sources here. But people are saying that they've seen these staircases even as deep as 60 kilometers into the forest. And soon reports, it was initially in America, but then soon reports of staircases in Germany, Brazil, Portugal, and the Philippines were posted. So it looks like this was all started by the Reddit user Search and Rescue Woods, who claims to have been a member of a volunteer search and rescue unit. And he goes, I don't know if this is true in every search and rescue unit, but in mine, it's sort of an unspoken regular thing we run into. On just about every case where we're really far in the wilderness, like 30 or 40 miles, at some point we'll find a staircase in the middle of the woods. It's almost like if you took the stairs in your house, cut them out, and put them in the forest. Super weird. This Reddit user says he asked about it the first time he saw some stairs, and the other officer just told me not to worry about it, that it was normal. He kept asking about it, but people kept saying the same thing, and he was told very emphatically, he says, that I should never go near any of them. I just sort of ignore them now when I run into them because it happens so frequently. That's so weird. And then so other people start like saying their stories about how they found these stairs too. And this guy says, I came across a set in rural West Virginia, but at least 10 miles deep. I thought it was maybe a house had once stood there, but there was no cellar or other debris that would indicate a home was there before. Just a set of stairs with a base that went up one flight, 16 or so steps. He says, and it was certain he could barely shake them. Yeah, so more people are just telling their stories, similar stories that no one really knows. But yeah, it's just eerie. Imagine walking into the woods. You're deep in the woods, you think nothing is around, and then you just find
staircase.
Some sturdy stairs leading to nowhere. That's creepy.
That
What's
is.
weird is the people who find ones that are well cleaned, free of vegetation, and like it's like someone's maintaining these stairs to nowhere. Like an old abandoned staircase, I'm sure there's a story, but the clean ones, that's so weird.
Yeah.
Okay, and some people talk about how there's like a cemetery or a burial place nearby.
Okay.
Or it's almost always in an area where someone has disappeared. I don't know about that stuff.
Yeah.
Stairs that seem to move at night. Okay, so what are these stairs? Of course, everybody has different theories. I'm sure every staircase is different too. But the first obvious theory I think everyone thinks of is that, there's just nothing left of the foundations of like a house or some sort of settlement that used to be there, but some reason the stairs are still there. Because you'd have like your stairs built out of something sturdy so you could walk on them like stone or something, whereas like the house or structure was probably just wood that decayed over time. That makes sense. Okay, and then some people think it's a gateway to another dimension.
Might be.
Some people think it's like a lectern for a preacher holding some sort of dark intention gathering. I mean, even if you're in the middle of the woods preaching to people, you gotta be up higher than them.
Never know.
Apparently, these stories were posted on a no sleep forum on Reddit, which is known as a place where people can post fictional stories. So this could be totally made up. But it is fun because there are pictures of stairs. These stairs do exist. You can go visit them. But I really just think it's part of an old structure that used to exist and doesn't anymore. So here's a list of the names and locations of the most famous staircases in the world. So let's look up Madame Cherie's stairs in the U.S. Ooh, these ones are cool.
Oh, those are cool.
Look, you can see this is they found a picture of the structure
Fancy.
that they used to be a part of. Yeah, that's totally the same stairs. That's so cool. Okay, look at this staircase.
Okay, so that one
It's
figured
obviously
out.
clean and kept, but it looks like it's just somebody who uses the pathway to get down there.
Exactly.
They probably walk this trail every day or every week or
Yeah.
so they put in stairs to get down there. That makes sense too. Yeah, this one looks like an art installation or something. Don't you
It
think?
does.
All right, well that was fun. I think mystery solved.
But
though. I
some
think
of
there's
them-
stairs that are used for structure.
No, dude, there were some that you were looking at the beginning of your video that looked really creepy, and you're just going over those ones that have explanations. Because the ones you were showing earlier had no explanation, in my opinion. What is up? How are you doing? Oh, another dimensions. Do y'all believe in other dimensions, like different realms? I think there are. I think there's something. How does that Mandela effect happen? You know what I mean? I'm not just saying that one, but have y'all even just something as simple? Do I have any females in the house besides Mom Howard? Yeah, there has to be different dimensions. Has to be. Something's up. Okay. They're saying Britney Spears did not wear that mic when she wore that red suit. And every female knows Britney Spears was wearing that mic and that when she was wearing that red piece. Britney Mandela. Look, I don't even need to look at this. I just put Britney, probably because I've been looking it up though. I'm not even going to go into that. I'm not even going to look that far into it because this is weird enough. Do y'all remember? I mean, it's at the beginning of this, thank goodness. We're not watching that Lizzie McGuire one, I promise. We're going to watch the Britney Spears one because it's way weird. Because if you guys are at least in your 30s, I will say y'all would know this answer. Any female definitely would know this answer. Was Britney Spears wearing a mic or not? And I know for a fact, the computer. I know for a fact Britney Spears was wearing a mic. Here we go. This is one that creeps me out because it's like such an obvious one. Like in our face, not even trying to like just say anything else about it besides, no, she never wore it.
Songwriter and dancer who blew up the charts in the late
Look at this one,
1990s
y'all.
and early 2000s has popped up a lot recently in the news. Most notably, though, because she is the subject of a high-profile and court-mandated conservatorship that has controlled the vast majority of her life and finances for the past 13 years. Under U.S. law, a conservatorship is the appointment of a guardian by a judge to manage the financial affairs and/or daily life of another person due to old age or mental limitations. What this essentially means is that the family of Britney Spears has had full control over her life and her money.
Watch this one.
The details of this conservatorship have become more widely known as of late.
You'll know the answer, Latina.
Beyond more than just her fans. All I have to say in regards to all of this.
El Muso, you'll know.
Let this adult woman make
You're
her
into
own decisions
music.
in life. Mental limitations aren't an excuse to take away someone's freedom. The reason I bring up all these details regarding Britney Spears is because of this heightened media presence. A lot more people have recently been taking a closer look at Britney Spears' life and music. And somewhere along the line, people started noticing some changes from what they remember, specifically in regards to her music videos. This is where the Mandela effect comes in, and I'm curious to hear what you all remember and what you all think. In the 2000 music video for the song Oops, I Did It Again, Britney Spears dances and sings along to her song while wearing a very memorable skin-tight red outfit. The Mandela effect here is regarding her headset microphone.
Yes.
An unbelievable amount of people online remember this.
Where's her mic?
But as of now, it doesn't exist. Think back to that music video and tell me what you remember.
Oh, she was wearing a mic. Why does she not have her mic anymore?
So I inadvertently heard all of her songs hundreds of times. It felt unavoidable at that time. So that explains the huge volume of people who remember this specific detail. Now, let's be real for a second. A missing headset microphone in and of itself is weird, but it's hardly a mind-blowing Mandela effect. But it gets deeper. People have scoured the internet looking for residue and proof of its existence. And you know what? A lot has been found. Let's check it out.
Yeah, because it was
Some
there.
of the first things found were photos of people who dressed up as Britney Spears for Halloween
Right there.
and costume parties. Of these many photos, quite a few of them are wearing the red outfit and the now missing headset microphone as part of their costume.
Look at these girls. Like, I'm telling you, you guys know girls, people, guys and girls go all out for Halloween to get the costume just right and perfect and everything. I'm so glad there's other photos out there like this of people dressing up as Britney Spears. And of course she has the mic. And of course she had the mic. Why is this happening? Y'all, like, why is this happening? This life is so weird. It's so, so bizarre.
It's strange that these people who went all in on getting the look just right accidentally included a headset microphone that she apparently never wore.
Never wore.
Weird, right?
It was never there.
More interesting still is that the officially
Look at
released
that.
Oops, I Did It Again doll of Britney Spears that released in 2000 also had a headset microphone. There was also a deluxe version of the doll that came with a CD of the song, also included a headset microphone. Again, it's a weird detail to include considering the original.
Look at that.
video
It's
apparently never
so
had a headset
gone.
microphone.
Photoshop,
Everyone
nothing.
seems to think it did for some reason. So next we have a collectible Funko Pop figure of Britney Spears in her red outfit making a pose. This pop figure was first released January 2021. Situations like this are super fascinating to me because so much can be drawn from this. Think about it. We have a toy from when the music video was originally released with a headset and mic, and now a new toy many years later without one. meaning the Mandela effect happened sometime between those 20 years. Or everyone is misremembering the music video, and she never had a headset microphone. Everyone is wrong. The dolls are wrong. The costumes are wrong. All the thousands of comments on internet threads, and Funko Pop simply did the research and made their pop figure according to the actual music video. There are just so many possibilities. If the video somehow did change because of the Mandela effect, then Funko Pop isn't actually wrong in making a figure without a headset mic.
Yeah.
I checked the video and said, okay, no mic. So again, I have to ask you, what do you remember?
That one too. That one too. I watched that one. We watched that one last week. Yeah, the Monopoly guy. He doesn't have that anymore. Don't y'all remember that? Even in the what was that? Jim Carrey movie, Ace Ventura. He says, "Oh look, the Monopoly guy." He had his little, what is that called, monocle? They're messing with their minds, but how? Why? Like, okay, why? So that it's for them, obviously, but why? You see the stuff that's slipping through the cracks, though. You know what I mean? Like the dolls, everybody's pictures that they had, those weren't magically erased. But how do they erase a mic from a video? And why would they do that? Why would they take that out? That was a whole thing. That's what I don't understand. Yeah. That's a whole, why would you take that out? Yeah, we saw that one before the Monopoly guy. He doesn't have one. Oh, man, y'all. If you watch enough of these, you start feeling like you're going crazy. Like, was it like that? Like the Bernstein and the Bernstein bears. Like I know that, however you want to say it, that, but they're two different ways of saying it, and apparently they're saying it wrong, and it's spelt wrong too on the books. I remember it being Bernstein bears, and now it's Bernstein bears. That one's like the oldest Mandela one. I know y'all know that, but brand new Mandela effects. All right, I'm going to watch this one. If y'all want to chill and hang out with me and watch it with me, that would be cool. I'm definitely watching this one. Brand new Mandela effects.
High quality.
Let's see what this is about. I am going to go to bed soon. Yeah, I know y'all do this. And thanks for tuning in. If it wasn't for y'all, I wouldn't be here. I appreciate it. Thank you. Thank you so very much for hanging out. I love doing these. Oh, man. Nikola Tesla. Oh, goodness.
Today we are covering
his story being found in a hotel room. Come on.
Human body, and even a Mandela effect that I covered 2 years ago.
We'll cover him next week.
Again. So be sure to stick around until the very end so you don't miss a single effect. Like, subscribe, click that notification bell, and let's get right into it.
The Curious George tail, or the Pikachu. Was it a black tail or a yellow one? I think this is what they were saying.
Let's kick off today's video with the Mandela effect regarding the human body.
Wait.
Humanity understands the
If y'all join my Discord, I put like videos in there all the time. Like I can't go over all of them here in the space cabin. So if I find one, I try to drop it in my Discord. If I put it in Twitter, it'll throw off the algorithm completely for me. It'll take me off of crypto stuff. So if you guys want to join my Discord, I go and drop links in there sometimes. Let's check this out.
Inner workings of the human body, thanks to all of the medical professionals who have studied the human body for hundreds and hundreds of years. What would you think if I told you that there is a new organ inside of your body that was just recently discovered? If you heard this, I'm sure some of you would think,
what?
How's that possible?
Yeah.
Or possibly,
I'm a nurse.
True, then that new
What's the
organ
new
was
body
really
part?
Small and very well hidden to have gone undetected for so long. Well, surprise, surprise. That new organ is real, and it isn't tiny. It isn't hidden. It's huge.
What is it?
It's so huge that it is the largest organ in the human body. It's called the interstitium, a previously unknown organ and one of the biggest organs in the human body.
Interstitial
It's a
fluid?
massive network of dense connective tissue and fluid-filled compartments throughout the entire body. According to scientists, this is now a full-fledged organ that somehow
it's an organ now.
Before. This next fact completely blew my
I was going to say, we know about that, interstitial fluid.
which has forever held the title of the largest organ in your body.
But it's an organ now,
Absolutely
considered an
incredible
organ.
to me, how no one had ever noticed or discovered this before. So what do you think?
That's
Somehow we all
weird.
believe that our skin was the largest organ in our body, and now it turns out that that isn't true. There has apparently always been another organ that's even bigger. There are a ton of articles about this, as well as medical papers on this. If you want to read more, it's a very fascinating thing to look at. Let me hear all of your thoughts on this crazy.
You look up lymphedema. If you look that up, you'll learn a lot about it. Oh, what are you going to say about this?
Jackie Robinson was not only a great baseball player, but actually the first black athlete to ever play Major League Baseball, all the way back in 1947. He was even inducted into the Baseball Hall of Fame in 1962. This next Mandela effect has to do with him. And don't worry, you don't need to understand any sports knowledge for this to land, because this one has to do with a hug.
Interstitial.
More on that in a second.
Like interstitial
The date is
fluid.
May 13th, 1947. The game is between the Brooklyn Dodgers and the Cincinnati Reds. Jackie Robinson had only been in the major leagues for a month at this point. Because he was the first black athlete to play in the MLB, and the fact that it was 1947, racial tension was sadly still at an all-time high. In fact, some of his own teammates had asked management to trade them away rather than play baseball with him. Not only that, his opponents threatened to boycott. He received death threats.
Yeah.
Pitches were even thrown directly at his head.
Sad.
But during that 1947 game, as the crowd taunted him, a teammate named Pee Wee Reese, a white man from Kentucky, crossed the field and walked up to Jackie, put his arm around him, and the crowd got quiet. This beautiful example of solidarity has been talked about ever since.
It's cool.
This historical moment in sports history has been talked about and discussed in news stories, documentaries, feature films, biographies, articles, and even, get this, got a statue in Brooklyn in 2005.
Oh.
So here comes the Mandela effect. This never happened. There was never a hug. Pee Wee Reese never walked up to Jackie Robinson, never gave him a hug during that game. And this story...
Yo, that's so sad. Wait, no, that's so sad that it was a good story. That's sad it was a good story and that story now never happened. That's not fair. I'm sorry, I moved this. Oh, I'm so sorry. That really upsets me because that's a good story. Why would they mess with that? That upsets me. That upsets me. That's upsetting because that's something
In all the time that I've
very
been doing this,
positive.
I've covered a ton of Mandela effects on my channel, but never before have I had a Mandela effect spawn from a meme. That's right, today we are looking at least to me, the very first meme video Mandela effect.
Okay.
So let's see if you've heard of this meme before, and
Here
later
we
I'll tell
go.
you what apparently changed. There's a great video which started on TikTok, but eventually spread all over the internet of
Yeah.
a cat accidentally stepping on piano keys and panicking. And every step that cat takes to get away from the sudden noise creates a new startling noise, and the cat is panicking even more. This video was released in 2020, and there's a good chance...
Do y'all remember this one?
It's funny, everyone loved it, shared it, and moved on to the next meme. I don't know why this recently popped back up into the zeitgeist, but it's back now, and people have noticed something weird about it.
Mhm.
So much so that internet sleuths have been looking for an alternative video because this couldn't possibly be the original. I'm going to show it to you now, so watch carefully and tell me if you notice anything different about it.
I don't remember this one at all. How is it? Okay.
So
I mean,
what
cats
changed in
are
the
weird.
minds of not only myself, but a ton of people online. Well, it's the giant red box. Not only does it take up a huge amount of the frame, it's also blocking out most of the piano keys. In my memory, the cat steps on all these different keys, and it starts panicking, and you can see it moving back and forth, pressing different keys. But now there's a giant box in the way, and you can't actually see most of the piano
Why would
keys.
that?
It's so strange. So
Yeah.
here are my questions to all of you. Was it simply such an entertaining video that most of us didn't notice the giant red box? I mean,
Maybe.
possible, I suppose. But what makes it so strange is the staggering amount of comments
Wow.
reacting to the seemingly innocuous red box. I mean, look at these comments. This isn't even all of them.
Yeah, you
There's
can't
an entire
ignore
screenshot in comments
that.
because there were so many people confused about this apparent new addition. So tell me in the comments, what do you all think of this? Was this red box always there?
I don't
Is this
remember
somehow
it.
actively added in? Is this nothing? Or is this
I mean, I
another
believe you,
example
guy.
of
You
an
obviously
absurdly long list
remember.
of Mandela effects? In my opinion, that box was not there. I don't know why it's there. It's so strange to me.
Oh,
I
where's
personally
my
don't remember
cat?
this box, but that's just me. Let me hear it all in the comments below.
Man, why would they change these little things? It's like Have y'all seen the butterfly effect? I know y'all have. It's like that. But the box was still there, but why was it still... It's still in the frame, but it's just in a different position. Like, stuff has changed, but so slightly.
Let's talk about a new Star Wars.
Okay, Star Wars. Y'all guys tell me.
Amongst each other. This particular Mandela effect comes from Star Wars Episode 4, A New Hope.
Let's
There's
go.
a very memorable scene in the movie where Luke, Leia, Han, and Chewie are all trapped in a room filled with garbage and water. If you've seen Star Wars, you know the scene. Eventually, the walls start to close in with the intent to compress all of the trash along with our heroes. Now, during this scene, Luke is constantly calling out for C-3PO to help rescue them. Eventually, he gets through and yells at C-3PO, "Will you shut up and listen to me?" and blank. What is it that Luke says here?
We've had some problems.
Is it shut down all the garbage mashers on the detention level? Or is it shut down all the trash compactors on the detention level? Which do you remember? Usually lines from movies aren't the biggest or best examples of but when it comes to a mega franchise like Star Wars, it absolutely matters. Fans have seen these movies over and over again. Memorizing lines verbatim comes with the fandom. So what Luke actually yells is, "Shut down all the garbage mashers on the detention level."
I don't remember that. The Darth Vader one. That one's a big one.
Like a small thing, but apparently a lot of people online completely disagree with this quote. Now here's where things get weird. If you look up the scene on YouTube, most of the videos still have the incorrect title of Star Wars Trash Compactor Scene. Now this could obviously be a human error, but it's strange that video after video makes the same mistake in the title. Luke never says trash compactors. He says garbage mashers, a very different and distinct thing. It's almost as if the line has somehow changed from what people remember. Let's get into the comments. Just as expected, it's filled with people confused as to why this line is now different. You know it's a good one when you see dozens of comments across multiple videos saying, "Is this a Mandela effect?" That is my favorite thing to read in a comment section. Which leads to the question, was it altered at some point? Was it changed on the DVD or the Blu-ray?
We saw that Britney Spears one.
Make this change?
Took 20 years
So, why?
to change.
Remember that George Lucas changed his movies a lot after they were already released. It's this weird perfectionist streak that every artist suffers from. No piece of art is ever good enough. It can be better. Just a little tweak here, a couple of changes there. Because of this, it's totally possible that there could be a version out there with the original line of trash compactors. But as far as I or anyone else can find online thus far, Luke has always said, "Shut down all the garbage mashers on the detention level." So I'd like everyone out there to go check your VHS tapes, your DVDs, your Blu-rays, your streaming. Just check and see if you can find.
Have any of y'all noticed anything that you've like
really weird.
done a double take? Like, wait a second, or have you even paid attention?
As in, this line has somehow, for some reason,
Question
changed.
yourself.
Or
Really?
is this the case of a lot of people misremembering and misquoting this line for decades? Anything's possible, but I leave this decision in your hands. Let me hear it in the comments below.
Liquid Blues.
I've got a fantastic new Mandela effect to share with all of you.
Tell us.
Hypnotic, the flavored drink that I've spoken about before, has changed again. I talked about its original Mandela effect back in Brand New Mandela Effects Part 15, and how its name had changed. The spelling was completely off. I'm going to share that clip now and catch you up. And when we come back, I'm going to tell you what has changed now. So pay very close attention to every detail.
Okay, I gotta pay attention.
All over the world. And with so many manufacturers, it can be hard to really stand out and get your product noticed. The newly created vodka, cognac, and fruit-flavored brand Hypnotic was created in 2001, and it found it by creating a liquor that literally sparkled. Shaking up a bottle of Hypnotic created a glitter-like sparkle effect that became an instant hit. In fact, that's the only reason I personally know of Hypnotic.
Y'all drink that?
A friend saw it on a shelf and bought it, and no doubt, the sparkle makes it very memorable. And honestly, you can't say that about most liquors. So here is where the Mandela effect comes in. If you have ever had this drink before, or purchased a bottle of it, or simply seen it on a store shelf, the sparkle, the design, the name, it's all very memorable. So here's the question. How is Hypnotic spelled? Is it spelled hypnotic, hypnotic, or hypnotic?
Oh, wow.
Like me, you remember it being hypnotic.
The second one?
And a Q. And that's understandable. It's a slight spelling variation of the word.
Oh man, I don't know. This is hurting my brain.
But you'd be wrong. It's actually hypnotic, with that really strange spelling. That spelling is absurd. Not just in the sense that it's purposefully confusing, but it's a pain in the eye.
Okay, so if they're going to change a name and a brand, right? Just like they did with the Britney Spears dolls, right? Britney Spears dolls had a mic, and then the newer ones didn't have a mic. So that would mean the Mandela effect, changing a whole brand name, like everything in that company would have had to change. The people who even worked there, everything, the whole Mandela effect would have had to have happened to everybody. A slow effect. Like they said, it can happen. It can take years, obviously, with those dazzled ships, as we saw there.
Nice. I've seen this drink hundreds of times. I've even held the bottle
Did
in my
y'all
hands on
drink
multiple
this?
occasions.
I didn't
This
drink
is absolutely
this.
something I would have noticed. But here we are. Has Hypnotic always been spelled like this, or is this another example of the Mandela effect? Let me know.
Mm-hmm.
Now that you're up to date with what I said then, this will more likely
It
blow
looks
your
pretty.
mind. Hypnotic is no longer shiny. It doesn't sparkle. It doesn't have that beautiful glitter effect anymore. As of now, it is just solid blue. How is it that I made an entire video segment on this drink? And not only did I somehow not notice that the drink didn't sparkle, but not a single commenter noticed either. That video has 119,000 views as of right now. In all that time, with all of the people who commented that they were bartenders and they made hypnotic drinks all the time, or that they loved drinking this, or that they used to party all the time.
Bartenders.
How is it that no one noticed? In fact, the first comment to mention that it doesn't sparkle, or hasn't ever sparkled, was from 9 days ago. Here's that comment. Not a single comment before this one, in the 2 years since this video has been released, has said otherwise. And I know this because I checked. In fact, I looked up every term I could think of in the comments. Sparkle, shine, shimmer, glitter, shiny, nothing. Something very similar happened in my last video. I went back and looked at my favorite Mandela effect from a video I made 3 years before. The changes that had happened since I first talked about it were unbelievable. And here we are again, where I have a dedicated video.
He's making documentation.
This means that the research that I did, the script that I wrote, the audio recording of me reading that script, and the images I used are now retroactively wrong. I'm honestly not even mad. I'm amazed.
That is amazing.
I obviously believe that Hypnotic sparkled. I included not just my voice mentioning that point, but also what I thought were photos that showed that. I even added glittery blue backgrounds to further represent the shimmer. I also specifically remember going to my favorite liquor store downtown when I first heard this drink's name had changed and checking for myself.
What?
What is going on here?
So he even in his own video that he did for YouTube even did an effect. Now that effect didn't go away. But he put it there for a reason. And if you've made videos before, you know you put certain things in there for certain reasons, like different transitions or stuff like that.
Upon doing some research, I found a French drink called Nouveau Sparkling Liqueur. Apparently, this was the first drink to sparkle like I remember Hypnotic Sparkling. This bottle was modeled to give off a perfume-like design.
Oh, I know those.
The words "for her" on it. I have never heard of this drink before, and there's no way that I could have mistaken this drink for Hypnotic. Besides, look at the color. It's completely different. Next up is a drink from Hypnotic themselves called Hypnotic Sparkle, released in 2014. I can't make this stuff up. I'm looking for a sparkly bottle of Hypnotic that apparently doesn't exist, and now there's a specific sparkling variant of Hypnotic. At first, I thought, mystery solved. That is, until I saw the bottle. Not only does this bottle have a different branding and look to it compared to regular Hypnotic, it also isn't sparkly. There's no glittery shine to it. It's simply bubbly, like champagne. The sparkle of Hypnotic Sparkle is carbonation, not glitter or whatever it was that made it sparkly like a lot of us remember. We are 2 for 2 right now, so maybe this next and final answer is the one we're looking for. In 2015, a brand named Vanique was released. Now this stuff was sparkly from what I found online about it. Apparently it was discontinued for unknown or undisclosed reasons between 2019 and 2020. If I had to guess, you were straight up drinking glitter. So is it possible that everyone that remembers Hypnotic being shiny, myself included, was actually thinking of Vanique? I really don't know, and I can't answer for everyone. Personally, I had never heard of or seen.
I've never seen that.
And looking more into it, the colors available for Vanique were dark purple and later on red and orange. There wasn't even a blue shade, let alone a light blue shade. So I spent hours looking into this because I get super obsessive over things that really interest me. And I found this really neat. There is an article by Mash.com about the untold truth of Vanique shimmery liqueur. This article goes on to describe the history of this drink, as well as show off a ton of amazing photos of this beverage. I wonder if it was any good. Let me know if you had this before it was removed.
I've never even seen it. Have y'all seen that one?
This article goes on to, strangely enough, mention Hypnotic, of all things, a brand that was apparently never shiny. So why was it brought up in an article about this shiny drink? Unless perhaps the author, for some reason, in their mind, associated Hypnotic as a shiny drink as well. In fact, it was totally unrelated to Vinique, as both targeted different demographics, Gen X for Hypnotic and Millennials for Vinique. Not to mention, Hypnotic came out in 2001 and Vinique came out in 2015, a full 14 years later. I don't see how or why these two disparate bottles would be compared in an article, but they are. The article goes on to say, Vinique Shimmering Liqueur was the first shimmering liqueur specifically designed for the American market. Before Vinique, there were a few smaller and lesser known drinks, like Francis Nouveau, that had a much subtler effect. Although liqueurs like Hypnotic capitalized on bright and bold drink flavors, Vinique was the first brand to not only combine the two, but to really strive for a drink that looks like pure glitter.
You remember that one?
I would pause.
This one with the V?
Vinique combined the two. Vinique launched as a glittery dark purple drink. Hypnotic was a bright blue drink that was apparently never glittery. They are completely different. One is dark and shiny, and one is bright blue and apparently not shiny. Where is this association coming from anyway? If Hypnotic was never shiny, this is a random non sequitur. It's irrelevant to bring up. Unless it's the exact same association that I and so many others now have for completely unknown reasons. Also, I'd like to point out that they spelled Hypnotic with the old spelling in that article, the spelling that is now considered incorrect. This article is a great piece of residue for both Hypnotic Mandela effects. So what do you think about this Mandela effect? Do you remember the glitter or the name being spelled differently, like so many others? Or is this how Hypnotic always was? Perhaps I'm simply thinking of another drink.
We could.
That I've never seen, had, or heard of before.
That's
Is
amazing.
it truly as simple as that? Or is this another example of the Mandela effect? Tell me your thoughts in the comments below.
I'm down. Let's
If you
fund
have
a
any
vault
Mandela
rocket.
effects that you'd like
Let's
me to
talk about
about in this
Toshi.
video, let me hear it in the comments. And if you enjoyed this video, be sure to check
Wow,
out the
y'all, that's wild.
My name is Al.
I know we did in a space cabin a couple weeks ago. We did if you want to go check that out, we did the Mandela effect for different brands like 7-Up, how 7-Up looks different. The Quaker Oats guy looks different. Monopoly guy doesn't have that monocle anymore. And my nephew was looking at me like I was crazy. He was like dazzled. Like I told y'all earlier, I brought up dazzled ships and he knew exactly what I was talking about. And I think that was the closest that I have ever, I'm not just like knowing that that's being taught to another generation. You know what I mean? Because he didn't even, I said bedazzled ships. That's what I said. I said, yeah, bedazzled ships. And he says, you mean dazzled ships? So he knew exactly what I was talking about. And I said, how do you know about those? He said, well, I've learned about them in school. It was like they have colors and stuff on them. I was like, yeah, no, that's a lie. That's a lie. He was like, no, it's not. Like, it's a lie. Go ask your grandpa who fought in Vietnam. Go ask him. Guaranteed. So that's what I'm saying. Like, this stuff is just so crazy. Brands, you can kind of go crazy looking at those. Like the Quaker Oats guy. Do you remember him having a circular hat or a pointy hat? I remember the pointy hat. Oh, man. So what were you saying about a rocket? The only reason why NASA and other companies don't disclose is because they go through private businesses so that at that point, they don't have to release any info. Yeah. So I was talking earlier, we were talking about Antarctica and planes. Like my brother-in-law, he's a pilot. And I asked him, I said, hey, have you ever seen anything? And he said, yeah. And I said, well, how come? He says they see stuff all the time. I said, well, what do they do? And he says they fly like UFOs. They don't know what it is, so it's UFO. But he didn't use that wording. He was just like, something's flying by the airplane. They just follow us. So why don't you hear about it? He said, if they talk about it, they get blacklisted. They can lose their pilot license, and then they make them sound like they're crazy. Like, it's legit. So that's why he never even brought it up. I had to ask him. They said, yeah, they'll lose their license. They'll say they've lost it, like they've lost their mind. And I mean, that makes sense. Of course they would do that. Just like the doctors that found cures for cancer. I don't know if y'all have ever seen those, but those doctors are gone. They've lost their licenses or they've disappeared. Now, what I think is crazy is that Las Vegas, what happened at Las Vegas. I'm going to try to look that up next week, and I don't have my notepad. I really hope I remember this one. But the Las Vegas shooting. So I went to Las Vegas 2 times before that, right? I was always going to the iHeartRadio hip hop one. Hip hop pop. And that year I said, I'm going to flip a coin and I'm going to see if I should go to the country one or to the hip hop one, because I've been to the hip hop one the last 2 years. So let me just do a coin flip. I did a coin flip, and thank God it was the hip hop one, because I literally would have gone to that country one if it would have landed on that. So the only reason why I was not there when that shooting happened in Vegas was because of a coin flip. I just think that's so wild. It's still like, man, my guardian angels are working overtime. I tell you that right now. But anyway, there was 2 people that were running up to secure. I had some friends that went there. Not that they heard this, but they said, check it out. There were stories out about these 2 people who came running to the front. Like, everybody needs to get out. Everybody needs to get out. And they shoved them out. They pushed them out. They're like, there's a lot of people fixing to die. Yep. People that survived that shooting, a lot of them wound up dead. People just wound up, they're in car wrecks. Things like that. It's just bizarre. I've really been following that a lot because I was supposed to be there. Like, I was going to be there. Yeah, I know. Thank God I didn't go. All because of a coin flip. And it was weird. I don't know what or why. I felt like guilty. I don't know why. It was just, I guess that's what it's natural to feel that way, because I just felt so bad for all those people. And I saw those videos. It just felt, that shooting was totally planned. So I was there the week before it happened, right? And what was the name of that hotel? I can't think right now. My brain is kind of fried after all day being on here. The hotel he was in, Malibu, something like that. Anyway, I had gone into that hotel. It was like one of the last nights that I was there. I went there and I was walking. It was just the weirdest feeling. I was there and I remember telling the person that I was with, I was like, this hotel is creepy. Like, this one's weird. And I remember walking by this guy. I'm not saying this is who it was, but I remember when I said it was because I walked by this guy who was on a payphone, and he just looked weird. He just gave me a super weird vibe. And then I turned the corner, and then there was 2 escalators, and I was just like, this place is weird. Let's just go to another hotel. Like, let's just go to another casino. And we left. But I just thought that was just the strangest thing. Just the strangest thing. Yes, Mandalay. There you go. Mandalay Bay. I can't believe that happened. Who, is going to stay in that room? There's some people that are looking that room up too. Like, oh, let me stay in it. And then, I don't know, man. Just freaking weird. It's really, really weird. All right, I've been at it for 2 hours. I could keep going, but I'm not. You guys got to watch it from the beginning. Oh, wow, yeah, that was a good one. That was a good one. What did you say? Remember, Obama said it will get worse until we give them the guns. Yeah, I'm from Texas, so I'm all about keeping my gun. I'll tell you that. I don't have just one either. I think I definitely want to make sure I'm safe. For sure. I bet you guys do too. Yeah, he did say the school shootings. Yeah, and I think my personal opinion is the government can make stuff happen to, you know what I'm saying? What was that? I saw a show, Utopia. I think it was called Utopia or Dystopia on Hulu, and it was showing how they can get a fake audience, how they can get, fake press. They can do all this and that. I mean, magicians do it. Magicians, they say, oh, I'm going to levitate. I'm going to go out here, and you have a whole audience in the street watching them. But really, those are paid actors to sit there and clap and watch them. Yeah, I don't trust. They'll be coming up in my house. I will shoot them. I will murder them right back. I think that's what Stevie said. I will murder back. Crisis actors. Yeah, people. What was up with that one in Ukraine? Did y'all see that one where that person was in a body bag and the news was live? And they had all these body bags laid out, and then someone in the back gets and sits up out of the body bag, and someone like runs over there. What is going on, y'all? What's going on? Anyway, yeah. People were moved. 15K. Yeah, did y'all see that live stream? Great stream, thanks. All right, y'all, go check it out from the beginning if you haven't already. We did look up some weird, creepy stuff. If you want to go back and check it out, I would much appreciate you leaving a comment and a like and share this video if you would please do so. And tune in for next week, spooky late night space cabin. Let's take a break from cryptocurrency and go check out how crazy the world is. All right, y'all, I hope everybody has a great night. I love all of y'all. I appreciate all of you guys. If you weren't here, I would not be here right now. So I appreciate you. Thank you so much. Crypto Latina, great live, chica. Let's see. I got footage on my 19th. All right, all right. Adios. Buenas noches, everybody. Have a good night, everyone. All right, I'll talk to all y'all later. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe. All right, bye-bye.